The lasagna was still warm in my hands as I climbed the front steps of my parents' house. Sunday dinner had been a tradition since I was old enough to remember, and even though I now lived 40 minutes away and worked 60-hour weeks, I never missed it. The familiar scent of Mom's garlic bread wafted through the screen door, mixing with the sound of muffled voices from inside. I was about to knock when I heard my name. Sophie won't be a problem. She never says no to family. That was my father's voice coming from the kitchen. I froze, my hand suspended inches from the door. But 300,000? That's insane. How did you even? My mother's voice was strained, worried in a way I rarely heard. It doesn't matter how. That was Nathan, my older brother. His tone was defensive, sharp. What matters is that I need it handled before they start the legal proceedings. You said you'd help. We will, Dad said firmly. Your sister's got that promotion, remember? Senior financial analyst at that big firm downtown. She's probably making, what, $150,000 a year now? More, Nathan said. She mentioned something about bonuses. My stomach turned to ice. The lasagna dish suddenly felt like it weighed 100 pounds. We'll tell her it's for the house, Mom said, and I could hear her rationalizing already. That tone she used when she was convincing herself something wrong was actually right. Say we need repairs for the roof, the foundation. Maybe 30,000 at first, then medical bills. I'll say I need some procedures. We can spread it out over a few months. She'll give it, Dad agreed. She always does. Remember when Nathan needed that business loan 5 years ago? 20,000, no questions asked. Never even asked for it back when the business failed. That's because Sophie doesn't understand how the real world works, Nathan said, and I could practically hear his smirk. She still thinks family means something. It's almost sad. Don't talk about your sister that way, Mom said, but it was weak, perfunctory. I'm just saying, she's always been naive. Remember when she gave you guys her entire signing bonus to help with the mortgage? $40,000 just handed over. Who does that? A good daughter, Dad said, but there was something in his tone that made it sound like he was saying a foolish daughter. Exactly. So we'll milk this. Take care of my debt, maybe have some left over for that vacation house you've been wanting. Sophie won't even realize what's happening. We'll space out the requests, make each one sound desperate. She can't say no when Mom cries. I don't like lying to her, Mom said quietly. It's not lying, Nathan countered. We're family. Her money is family money. Besides, she doesn't have kids, doesn't have a husband. What's she spending it on anyway? That stupid apartment downtown. The one she worked her ass off to afford. I thought bitterly, my hands shaking. She'll be fine, Dad said with finality. Sophie's always been fine. That's what she does. She handles things. And we need this handled. Nathan, you're sure there's no other way? Unless you want me in federal prison for tax evasion and fraud, no. This is it. My lawyer says if I can pay it back before the audit goes deeper, they'll probably let it go with penalties. Tax evasion. Fraud. My successful brother, the one with the Mercedes and the McMansion, the one my parents bragged about at every family gathering, was a criminal, and they were planning to make me pay for it. We'll start next week, Mom said. After dinner today, I'll mention the roof. Plant the seed. Make it good, Nathan said. Cry if you have to. Sophie turns into pudding when you cry. I backed away from the door slowly, silently, my whole body trembling. The lasagna dish slipped slightly in my sweaty palms. But I caught it. Couldn't drop it. Couldn't make a sound. Couldn't let them know I'd heard everything. My car was parked on the street, and I made it there on legs that felt like jelly. I sat in the driver's seat, the lasagna growing cold on my lap, and tried to process what I'd just heard. My family, the people I'd sacrificed everything for, were planning to con me, to manipulate me, to use my love for them as a weapon against me. The $40,000 signing bonus I'd given them. I'd lived on ramen for a year to build back my savings. The $20,000 for Nathan's business. I'd canceled the vacation I'd been planning for 3 years. Every time they needed money, I'd given it without question, thinking I was being a good daughter, a good sister. And they saw me as a mark, a knave fool to be exploited. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. Where are you, sweetie? Dinner's ready. I stared at it for a long moment, then typed back, sorry, got called into work. Emergency audit. Rain check. 3 dots appeared immediately. Oh no. But we have something important to discuss. Can it wait? The roof. She was going to start with the roof, just like I planned. Sorry, Mom. Boss says it's urgent. Love you. I drove home in a daze, the lasagna still on the passenger seat like evidence of my old life. The life where I believed my family loved me, not just my bank account. By the time I reached my apartment, a plan was already forming in my mind. They wanted to play games. Fine, but they'd chosen the wrong mark. That night, I sat at my computer and began moving money. Every savings account, every investment, every liquid asset. I transferred all of it to new accounts they didn't know about. Then I called my bank and put fraud alerts on everything, changed all my passwords, set up two-factor authentication. My phone rang constantly. Mom, Dad, Nathan. I let them all go to voicemail. Monday morning, I walked into my boss's office and asked for a meeting. Karen Richards was a sharp woman in her 50s who'd built her career on reading people and situations. I need some advice, I said, closing the door behind me. Personal, not professional, but it might affect my work. She leaned back in her chair, studying me. Go on. I told her everything. The overheard conversation, the pattern of financial exploitation, Nathan's legal troubles. She listened without interrupting, her expression growing darker with each detail. First, she said when I finished, you're handling this remarkably well. Most people would be a mess. Second, you need a lawyer. Not for you, for protection against what they might try. Third, and this is important, you need to document everything. Every request for money, every transaction, every communication. I've already started, I said, showing her the spreadsheet I'd begun. 5 years of financial hemorrhaging, all laid out in black and white. Nearly $200,000, gone. Karen whistled low. Sophie, I'm going to give you some advice that's probably overstepping, but I think you need to hear it. Your family is not your responsibility. Their debts, their crimes, their choices, none of that is on you. I know, I said, though I wasn't sure I believed it yet. I'm also going to suggest something else. We have an opening in our London office. Same position, better pay, and most importantly, an ocean between you and them. Interested? London, 3,000 miles away from the family that saw me as an ATM. When would I start? Next month. We'd handle the visa, moving expenses, everything. Consider it a fresh start. That night, the calls became frantic. 23 missed calls from Mom. 15 from Dad. 31 from Nathan. The voicemails progressed from concerned to angry to desperate. Sophie, this is ridiculous. Call your mother back. Sweetie, please. We're worried about you. Stop being a drama queen and answer your phone. Sophie, this is serious. Nathan needs our help. Family helps family. Tuesday, I finally answered Nathan's call. Jesus Christ, Sophie. Where have you been? Working. I said calmly. You know, at that job you all think is just a fountain of free money. What's that supposed to mean? It means I'm busy, Nathan. What do you want? We need to talk. As a family, can you come to dinner tomorrow? Can't. I have plans. Plans? What plans are more important than family? The kind where people don't scheme to defraud me out of $300,000. The silence was deafening. Then, I don't know what you're talking about. Tax evasion and fraud, Nathan? Really? And you were going to make me pay for it. Tell Mom and Dad to lie to me, manipulate me. You were listening. You were eavesdropping on our private conversation. I was bringing lasagna for family dinner. Remember family? That thing you said I foolishly believe means something. Sophie, listen, it's not what you think. It's exactly what I think. You were planning to con me, your own sister, the one who's bailed you out for years. I'm in trouble, Soph, real trouble. I could go to prison. Then you should have thought of that before committing fraud. Are you seriously going to let me go to prison? Over money? Money you can afford to spare. I couldn't afford the $40,000 I gave Mom and Dad. I couldn't afford the $20,000 I gave you. I couldn't afford any of it, but I gave it anyway because I thought that's what family does. Turns out I was wrong about what family means. Sophie, please. I hung up. The texts started immediately. From Nathan, begging. From Mom, guilt-tripping. From Dad, demanding. I archived them all without reading. Wednesday brought a new tactic. Mom showed up at my office building at lunch, tears streaming down her face. Sophie, please. Just talk to me. I'm your mother. I stood there in the marble lobby, watching the woman who'd given birth to me sob dramatically, and felt nothing. The tears that had always worked on me before seemed hollow now, theatrical. "We can talk," I said. "Right here. In public. Can't we go somewhere private?" "No. Say what you need to say." She glanced around at the people passing by, clearly uncomfortable. "Your brother is in trouble." "I know. Tax evasion and fraud. He told me. He made mistakes, but he's family. We have to help him." "No, you have to help him. He's your son. Use your money." "We don't have that kind of money, you know that." Then Nathan should have thought of that before breaking federal law. "How can you be so cold? This isn't like you." "You're right. The old Sophie would have already written the check. The old Sophie believed you when you said family helps family. But the old Sophie didn't know that her family was planning to con her, to use her love against her." Mom's face went pale. "How did you? Does it matter? What matters is that I know exactly what you all think of me. The knave daughter. The family ATM. The mark. We never said. She'll never say no to family. She doesn't understand how the real world works. Sophie turns into pudding when you cry. Should I go on?" "Real tears now, not the manufactured ones. We were desperate." "No, you were greedy. There's a difference." I left her there in the lobby and went back to work. That afternoon, I accepted the London position. Thursday was quiet. Too quiet. No calls, no texts, no surprise visits. It made me nervous. Friday, I found out why. I was packing up my desk for the weekend when security called up. "Ms. Winters, there's a process server here for you." My family was suing me for the money I'd already given them, claiming they were loans that I was now demanding repayment on, causing them severe emotional and financial distress. I looked at the papers, then laughed. Actually laughed. They were trying to legally force me to give them money by claiming I was forcing them to give me money. It was so absurd, so desperately pathetic, that I couldn't even be angry. I called the lawyer Karen had recommended. "They have no case," she said after I'd emailed her the documents. "No written agreements, no documentation. This is harassment, plain and simple. We'll countersue if you want." "No," I said. "I don't want their money. I just want them gone." That weekend, I started packing, not just for London, but for a new life. One where love wasn't transactional, where family meant more than shared DNA, where I wasn't valued solely for my bank account. Nathan called one last time from a number I didn't recognize. "You're really going to let me go to prison?" "I'm not letting you do anything, Nathan. You're going to prison because you committed crimes. That's called consequences. I could lose everything. I've already lost everything. My family, my trust, my faith in the people who were supposed to love me. But you know what? It's liberating. I don't have to pretend anymore that you all care about me as anything more than a checkbook." "That's not true. Nathan, you literally sat in Mom's kitchen and planned out how to manipulate me. You laughed about how naive I am, how I don't understand the real world. Well, congratulations. I understand it now. Sophie, please, I'm begging you. Beg someone else. I'm done." I hung up and blocked the number. The movers came on a Tuesday. I watched them pack up my life, each box a step further from the family that had used me. My phone had been silent for days. They'd finally given up. As I was doing a final walkthrough of my empty apartment, I found the lasagna dish in the back of a cabinet. The one I'd been carrying that Sunday, full of food made with love for people who saw me as nothing more than a resource to be exploited. I threw it in the trash. At the airport, waiting for my flight to London, I got one last text from an unknown number. I almost deleted it unread, but curiosity won. It was from my mom. "I'm sorry, not for needing help, but for how we planned to get it. You deserved better. I hope someday you can forgive us." I stared at it for a long time, then typed back, "I hope someday you can deserve forgiveness." Then I turned off my phone and boarded the plane. 6 months later, I got word through my lawyer that Nathan had been sentenced to 18 months in federal prison. My parents had lost their house trying to pay for his legal defense. They'd moved in with my aunt in Florida. I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no guilt, no anger. They were strangers now, people I'd once known in a different life. My new life in London was everything the old one wasn't. I had colleagues who became real friends, relationships built on mutual respect rather than exploitation. I learned to trust again slowly, carefully. And sometimes, on quiet Sunday mornings, I'd make lasagna just for myself, remembering the girl who used to carry her heart in a casserole dish, hoping this time her family would see her as more than just a bank account. That girl was gone now. In her place was someone stronger, someone who understood that sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is walk away from people who only love what you can give them. Family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up for you without checking your bank balance first. And sometimes the only person who truly shows up for you is yourself. That's the real world. And now, finally, I understand it.
The empty parking spot hit me like a physical blow. I stood there, keys dangling uselessly in my hand, staring at the space where my silver Civic should have been. The car I'd spent 3 years saving for, working double shifts and sacrificing every small luxury. Gone. My name is Peyton, and this was the moment everything changed. "Oh, you're home early." Mom's voice carried across our suburban driveway, artificially bright. She stood in the doorway, perfectly manicured as always, wearing that particular smile that meant trouble. "Where's my car?" The words came out smaller than I intended. "Come inside, dear. Your father and I need to discuss something with you." The living room felt like a trap. Dad slouched in his recliner, avoiding eye contact. Camila perched on the armrest, scrolling through her phone with poorly concealed excitement. "We had to make a difficult decision today," Mom began, clasping her hands. "An opportunity came up for Camila." "You sold my car?" The reality hit me all at once. "Without asking me?" "Now, Peyton," Dad finally looked up. "Let's not make this dramatic. The title was still in our names as co-signers. Because you insisted. I paid for every penny of that car." Camila finally glanced up. "God, you're being so selfish right now. This is literally a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Wesley's family invited me to join them in the Maldives for 3 weeks. Do you know how expensive those flights are?" "So you stole my car?" My voice cracked. "We didn't steal anything," Mom cut in sharply. "We made a practical family decision. Camila needs this trip for her influencer career. It's an investment in her future." I turned to Dad, desperate. "You promised. When I bought that car, you promised." "Promises change, kiddo. Family adapts." He wouldn't meet my eyes. "What about my job? How am I supposed to get to work?" Mom waved dismissively. "There's a perfectly good bus stop 2 blocks away. Honestly, Peyton, you're always so practical. This is your chance to show that practical nature. Help your sister achieve her dreams." Camila bounced up, phone in hand. "Look, I already posted about it. Best family ever, making dreams come true. The engagement is insane." I stared at her screen. My car, now sold, with Camila posing next to it. Caption gushing about sacrifice and family love. The likes were rolling in. "I need some air." I turned toward the door. "Peyton," Mom's voice turned stern. "Don't make a scene. This is happening. Be happy for your sister." I stopped, hand on the doorknob. Behind me, Camila squealed about bikini options. Dad cleared his throat awkwardly. Mom started discussing flight details. Just like that, I was dismissed. Written off. The practical daughter who would obviously understand, who would sacrifice without complaint. Again. My phone buzzed. Clark, my best friend since college. "Hey, you okay? Saw Camila's post." I stepped outside, hands shaking as I typed. "They sold my car for her vacation." His response was instant. "What the actual fuck?" "Coming to get you. 10 minutes." I sat on the front steps, listening to my family's excited chatter through the door. Every laugh felt like a knife. Every casual dismissal of my loss burned deeper than the last. Clark's beaten-up Corolla pulled up exactly 10 minutes later. One look at his face, concern mixed with barely contained rage, almost broke me. "Get in," he said. "We're getting coffee and making plans." I slid into his passenger seat, fighting back tears. Through the living room window, I could see Camila taking selfies, Mom adjusting her hair just so. Dad had returned to his newspaper. I can't keep doing this, I whispered, being their doormat, their backup plan, their practical, boring daughter who exists to make Camila shine. Clark pulled away from the curb. So don't. What? Don't be their doormat anymore. Be something they never saw coming. I thought about my savings account, carefully built over years, about the investment books I'd been studying late at night, about all the times I'd swallowed my anger, played my role, been the good daughter. They think they know me, I said slowly. They think I'll just take this, like always. Will you? I watched my house disappear in the side mirror, something cold and determined settling in my chest. No. They want their practical daughter. I'll show them practical. They'll never see me break, but they will see me win. Clark grinned. Now that sounds like a plan. I smiled back, and for the first time that day, it felt real. Sometimes the last straw isn't dramatic. Sometimes it's just an empty parking spot, and the sudden crystal clear understanding that you're done being invisible. The 6 a.m. bus smelled like stale coffee and resignation. I wedged myself between a man in a construction vest and a woman applying mascara, clutching my laptop bag close. 3 weeks into my new routine, and it still felt like punishment. My phone lit up with Camila's latest Instagram post: white sand beaches, turquoise waters, and her perfectly posed figure in a designer bikini. Caption: living my best life. Sorry, not sorry. Palms shine. That your sister? The makeup woman had noticed my screen. She's gorgeous. I locked my phone. Yeah, she is. The bus lurched to a stop, and I squeezed past the growing crowd. Another 10-minute walk to the office, my heels already pinching. A car horn blared as I crossed the street. Clark pulling up in his Corolla. Surprise! He held up a coffee cup. Thought you could use this. I collapsed into his passenger seat. You're literally a lifesaver. How's the stealth wealth plan going? I pulled out my phone, this time opening a different app. Up 12% since last week. That crypto tip you gave me? Gold. Nice. He navigated through morning traffic. And the family?
Still celebrating Camila's incredible journey of self-discovery. Mom called last night to ask if I could send them some vacation food recommendations, because apparently I'm their personal Google. Did you? Sent them a link to the nearest McDonald's. Clark snorted coffee through his nose. At work, I buried myself in spreadsheets, taking lunch at my desk to research more investment opportunities. My salary wasn't huge, but every dollar counted now. Every minute was ammunition. My phone buzzed. Camila. Hey sis, miss you. Quick, can you Venmo me $200? Exchange rate is crazy here. We'll pay back, promise. I stared at the message for a full minute before responding. Sorry, bus pass ate my budget this month. 3 dots appeared immediately. OMG, still taking the bus? That's so sad. Maybe if you worked harder. I switched off my phone. That evening, Clark came over with takeout and his laptop. We'd turned these investment sessions into a nightly ritual, spreading papers across my tiny apartment floor. Look at this, he pointed to his screen. Tech startup looking for early investors. High risk, but the potential return. I'm in. I was already transferring funds. Just like that? Just like that. I showed him my portfolio. His eyes widened. Holy shit, Peyton, this is serious money. And they have no idea. I allowed myself a small smile. Mom called me practically boring yesterday. If she only knew. Clark's face turned serious. You know you could just leave, right? Take this money and start fresh somewhere else. Without the revenge part. It's not about revenge. I paused. Okay, it's not just about revenge. It's about showing them exactly who they underestimated, who they stole from. My phone buzzed again. This time, a group text from Mom. Family dinner tomorrow, celebrating Camila's amazing adventures. Peyton, please bring dessert. Something nice this time, not store-bought. Clark read over my shoulder. You going? Of course.
I started gathering the investment papers. The practical daughter always shows up, right? And sits quietly while they praise Camila? I thought about my growing portfolio, about the 3 job applications I'd secretly submitted to firms in other cities, about the apartment listings I'd been browsing. For now, I opened my laptop to check one last investment. Let them think nothing's changed. Let them think I'm still their backup plan, their safety net, their boring daughter who'll always be there to clean up their messes. And then I'll show them exactly how practical I can be. My phone lit up with another Instagram notification. Camila on a yacht this time, champagne in hand. Caption: some people work for success, others are born for it. Nay. I showed Clark the post. She has no idea how right she is. I am working for success, and it's going to be spectacular. He raised his coffee cup. To being practically boring. I clinked my cup against his. To being practically ruthless. Later that night, after Clark left, I got one more text from Camila. Bet you're still stuck, huh? Don't worry, some people are just meant for smaller lives. Play. I saved the screenshot. One day, this message would make an excellent reminder of why some bridges deserve to burn. Mother! Camila's shriek echoed through my phone speaker. I need another $2,000 right now. I held the phone away from my ear, watching Mom try to calm her down through our 3-way call. It was 3 a.m. my time, but apparently Paradise was having a crisis. Sweetheart, we've already sent so much, Mom started. Wesley's family is going to this exclusive resort tomorrow. I can't be the only one not going. Do you want me to look poor? I muted myself and opened Instagram. Sure enough, there was Wesley, tall, tanned, and flashing expensive watches in every shot. His profile screamed trust fund baby, but something felt off about the Rolex collection he kept showcasing. Peyton? Mom's voice snapped me back. Are you still there? Yeah. Could you maybe help your sister out? Just this once? I unmuted. I'm taking the bus to work, Mom. Remember? God, you're so useless. Wesley says. What does Wesley say? I interrupted, suddenly alert. Nothing, just that he knows people who could help me invest, make real money, not your boring office job money. I sat up straight. What kind of investments? I don't know, some crypto thing. He says it's guaranteed returns. Unlike you, he actually knows about making money. My stomach dropped. I'd seen enough investment scams to recognize the signs. Camila, don't. I have to go. Wesley's calling. The line went dead. I immediately called Clark. You need to see this, I said when he picked up. Wesley's Instagram. Something's very wrong. 20 minutes later, we were both staring at Clark's laptop in my apartment. He'd managed to dig deeper than I could. Look, he pointed. Same watch in different lighting. It's photoshopped. And these resort tags? He's never actually tagged at the location, just posting their photos. A scammer. A good one. Clark scrolled through more posts. Your sister has no idea, does she? She wouldn't listen even if I told her. I pulled up my own laptop. But maybe we can... My phone rang. Mom again. Peyton? Her voice was shaky. We need to talk about something. Your father and we may have done something. What did you do? We needed money for Camila's trip. The car sale wasn't quite enough, and you know how important this is for her career. I spread through my chest. Mom, what did you do? We might have used your name on a loan application. Just a small one. You have such good credit, and we knew you wouldn't mind. I hung up. Clark watched me carefully. Peyton, they used my name. My voice sounded distant. They forged my signature for her vacation. He was already typing. Check your credit report now.
The next hour was a blur of phone calls and credit checks. By dawn, I had the full picture, a $15,000 personal loan taken out in my name. The payments were already late. I can fight this, I said, pacing. Report the fraud. Have them arrested. And they'll claim you agreed to it. Clark looked grim. Family court cases get ugly. My phone kept buzzing.
Camilla's Instagram showed her and Wesley at another expensive restaurant. Mom's texts grew increasingly panicked. I opened my investment portfolio. The numbers had grown significantly over the past months, enough to cover the loan, enough to destroy them. Don't, Clark warned, reading my mind. Not yet. Then when? When it hurts the most. He started gathering evidence of the fraud. Let them dig deeper. Let Wesley show his true colors. Let them think they're winning. My phone lit up with a text from Ella, Camilla's best friend. Hey, you should know Wesley's been asking about your job, like how much you make. Camilla told him you're the responsible one with savings. I showed Clark the message. Looks like I'm not the only one plotting. Perfect, he grinned. Let them come to you. Let them think you're the safe option, the backup plan, the practical daughter. Exactly. He closed his laptop. And when they do, I'll be ready. I saved another screenshot of Camilla's latest post. Best vacation ever, thanks to my amazing family who always supports my dreams. Star. The caption made me laugh now. They thought they were winning, spending money they didn't have, burning bridges they couldn't afford to lose. They had no idea they were building their own trap. My phone buzzed one last time. A message from Wesley himself. Hey, Peyton, your sister talks about you all the time. Maybe we could grab coffee when we're back, talk about some opportunities. I showed Clark the message. Should I respond? Oh, yes. His smile was wolfish. Be the practical, boring sister they expect, for now. I typed back. Sure, Wesley, I'd love to hear all about your investments. The front door slammed so hard the windows rattled. Camilla stormed into the dining room, mascara streaking her cheeks, designer luggage abandoned in the hallway. He's a liar, she threw her phone across the table. A complete fraud. Mom rushed to comfort her, while Dad pretended to be deeply interested in his coffee. I sat quietly, picking at my dinner, waiting. All those investments, Camilla sobbed. The special crypto account he set up for me, everything's gone. How much? Mom's voice trembled. 20,000! And the credit cards, I maxed them all out because he promised the returns would cover everything. I took a slow sip of water. What happened to Wesley? Disappeared, blocked me everywhere. The resort said his credit cards were fake. I had to call Mom and Dad to book me an emergency flight home. Mom shot me a desperate look. Peyton, sweetie, about that loan in your name. The one you forged my signature on? The room went silent. Dad finally looked up. Now, kiddo, we can explain. Can you explain the missed payments too? The ones destroying my credit score? Camilla's head snapped up. You have good credit? Like you could take out more loans? Absolutely not, Mom cut in, then softened her voice. But maybe, Peyton, you could help us figure something out. You're so good with practical things. I pushed my plate away. Let me get this straight. You stole my car, forged my signature, ruined my credit, and now you want my help? We're family, Camilla wailed. You're supposed to help family. Like you helped me get to work after selling my car? Oh my God, you're still on that. It was just a stupid car. I stood up slowly. You're right. It was just a car. Just like this is just debt. Just like I'm just your practical, boring sister who'll bail you out because I have nothing better to do with my life. Exactly. So you'll help? My phone buzzed. A notification from my investment app. Another significant gain. No. The silence was deafening. What do you mean no? Mom's voice had that dangerous edge. I mean no. I'm not helping. I'm not giving you money. I'm not taking out loans. I'm not fixing this. Dad stood up. Peyton, be reasonable. Reasonable? I laughed. Like forging my signature was reasonable? Like stealing my car was reasonable? We didn't steal, Mom began. Save it. I pulled out my phone, showing them the credit report. I've already reported the fraud. The bank is investigating. They'll want to talk to all of you. Camilla's face went white. You can't do that. We'll get in trouble. Actions have consequences. I headed for the door. Wait, Mom grabbed my arm. Please, just once, be the bigger person. Help your sister. Help your family. I looked at her perfectly manicured hand on my arm, then at Camilla's tear-stained face, at Dad's nervous fidgeting. You want me to be the bigger person? Fine. Here's what's going to happen. I'm moving out. Tomorrow. You're going to confess to the bank that you forged my signature, and you're going to figure out your own mess. But where will you go? Dad asked. Don't worry about me. I'm practical, remember? I always figure things out. Camilla lunged forward. This isn't fair. You're supposed to be the responsible one, the reliable one. I am reliable. I opened the front door. I reliably know when I'm being used. My phone buzzed again. Clark, apartment's ready when you are. Keys at the front desk. You'll regret this, Camilla screamed after me. You're nothing without family. I turned back one last time. No, Camilla, I'm nothing with this family. That's the difference. The door closed behind me, cutting off their protests. In my pocket, my phone kept buzzing with notifications. More gains, more success they knew nothing about. I got into Clark's waiting car.
How'd it go? Exactly as expected. I showed him my phone. And look, that tech startup we invested in just got bought out. His eyes widened at the number. Holy shit, Peyton. Yeah, I watched my childhood home disappear in the mirror. Turns out being practical can be pretty profitable. They'll come looking for you, you know, when they figure out they can't fix this themselves. I know. I smiled, thinking of my new apartment, my growing wealth, my carefully documented evidence of their fraud. Let them come. I'm not the same practical little doormat they're expecting. Clark grinned. No, you're definitely not. My phone lit up one last time. A text from Mom. Please, sweetie, you're our last resort. I turned off my phone. They had no idea how wrong they were. I wasn't their last resort anymore. I was their worst nightmare. The view from my new high-rise apartment made the city look almost peaceful. 30 floors up, you couldn't hear the traffic or see the chaos. You definitely couldn't hear my phone buzzing with the 20th ignored call from my family. A knock at the door interrupted my morning coffee. Through the peephole, I saw Wesley's familiar face, though he looked considerably less polished than his Instagram photos. I opened the door but kept the security chain on. Well, if it isn't the investment guru himself. Peyton! His smile was desperate. Thank God, I've been trying to reach you. Through my sister's blocked number, or through the 6 fake accounts that tried to follow me on Instagram? He shifted uncomfortably. Look, there's been a misunderstanding about the money you stole from my sister, or the crypto scam you tried to rope her into. I can explain everything. He glanced down the hallway nervously. Can I come in, please? I closed the door, undid the chain, and opened it fully. You have 5 minutes. He rushed in, then stopped short at the sight of my apartment. The modern furniture, the expensive art, the clear signs of wealth he hadn't expected. Nice place, he said carefully. Very upscale. Unlike your fake Rolex collection. I sat down, gesturing for him to do the same. 4 minutes. Okay, look, I know things got messy with Camila, but I heard you're different, smart, practical. You understand investments. Unlike you, he flinched. I have a real opportunity, big returns. I just need some capital to run another scam. I pulled out my phone, started recording. Tell me more about these opportunities. What are you doing? Getting evidence. I smiled. 3 minutes. He stood up abruptly. You're recording me? That's illegal. In my own home, after you came here to attempt fraud? I kept recording. Pretty sure the police would be interested in that. And your outstanding warrants in Florida. His face went pale. How did you... I'm practical, remember? I do my research. I stood up. Now, here's what's going to happen. You're going to repay every cent you stole from my sister. He laughed shakingly. Or what? Or this recording goes to the police, along with evidence of your other scams. Clark's very good at finding those, by the way. Clark? My friend, the one standing behind you. Wesley spun around. Clark stood in the doorway, arms crossed, looking distinctly unfriendly. This is insane. You're just some boring office worker. Camila said,
Camila says a lot of things. I stopped the recording. You have 48 hours to return her money. All of it. I can't. It's gone. Then I guess you'd better get creative. I opened the door. Tick-tock. After he fled, Clark burst out laughing. Did you see his face when I showed up? Perfect timing. I sent the recording to my secure cloud storage. Think he'll pay? After that performance, he'll find a way. My phone buzzed again. Mom's name flashed on the screen, followed by a text. The bank called. They're investigating us for fraud. How could you do this to your family? I showed Clark the message. Speaking of family, they're not going to give up easily, he warned. No. I walked to the window, looked down at the city below. Neither am I. Another buzz. Camila this time. Oh my God, just drove by your building. Since when can you afford to live there? What aren't you telling us? Clark read over my shoulder. They're circling. Let them. I opened my investment app, checked the latest returns. The practical daughters finally got something they want. Money. No. I smiled as another call from Mom lit up my screen. Power. The doorman called up. Miss Fox, your family is here. They're quite insistent about seeing you. I looked at Clark. Ready for the show? Are you? I thought about my car, about forged signatures, about years of being the reliable doormat, about Wesley's pathetic attempt at manipulation, about all the pieces falling perfectly into place. They wanted practical? I pressed the intercom. Send them up. Clark raised an eyebrow. What's the plan? I walked to my home office, pulled out a thick folder of bank statements, investment records, and legal documents. Everything I'd been gathering. Everything they never suspected. The plan is simple. They think they're here to demand help, to guilt me into fixing their mess. But they're actually here to learn what happens when you push the practical daughter too far. The elevator dinged. Footsteps approached. Multiple voices argued in the hallway. Showtime. I straightened my shoulders, touched the folder one last time. Years of being underestimated had led to this moment. The knocking started. Loud, desperate, familiar. I opened the door to face my family, smile firmly in place. Welcome to my practical life. This is impossible, Mom whispered, turning in a slow circle. How can you afford this place? Camila ran her hand over my leather sofa. There's no way, not on your salary. Dad just stood there, taking in the floor-to-ceiling windows, the designer furniture, the clear signs of wealth they'd never suspected. Coffee? I gestured to the kitchen. We have a lot to discuss. We certainly do, Mom's voice rose, starting with how you could report your own family to the bank. I poured 4 cups of coffee, setting them on the glass coffee table next to my folder. Clark stood quietly in the corner, watching. Who's he? Camila demanded. The friend who's been helping me invest. I sat down, opened the folder. You might want to see this. Mom snatched the first page. Her face went white. This can't be right. What? Camila grabbed it. Holy shit. Peyton, how did you? Hard work, smart investments, being practical. I spread out more documents. Everything you've mocked me for, actually. Dad leaned forward. These returns are incredible. Why didn't you tell us? Like you told me about selling my car or forging my signature? The room went quiet. That's different, Mom started. You're right. It is different. I pulled out their loan application with my forged signature. This is fraud. This is criminal. We're your family. Camila stood up. You can't do this to us. Sit down. My voice was ice. You haven't seen the best part yet. I played the recording of Wesley from earlier, watched their faces as they heard him admit to the scam, heard my threats, heard his fear. You set him up? Camila's voice shook. I protected you. Again. Even after everything. I stopped the recording. He'll return your money. That still leaves the loan, Dad muttered, and the credit cards. And my ruined credit score. I pulled out another document. Here's how this goes. You have 2 options. Mom straightened her spine. We're your parents. You don't give us options. Option 1. I press charges for fraud. You face criminal penalties. I walk away clean. You wouldn't dare. Option 2, I continued, you signed these papers. Full confession to the bank, legal agreement to never use my name again, complete financial separation. Camilla laughed nervously. This is crazy. You're our safety net, our practical one. You can't just... Watch me. I stood up. You have 10 minutes to decide. Or what? Mom challenged. I nodded to Clark, who pulled out his phone. Or the police get an anonymous tip about financial fraud, with evidence. Dad reached for the papers. We should sign. George, Mom grabbed his arm. She's bluffing. She wouldn't destroy her own family. My family? I laughed. You mean the people who stole my car? Who forged my signature? Who called me boring and practical while stealing everything I worked for? We did it for Camilla, Mom protested. She needed consequences. I slammed my hand on the table. You all did, and now you've got them. 9 minutes. Camilla started crying. This isn't fair. You're supposed to help me. Like you helped me get to work? 8 minutes. Dad picked up a pen. We should sign. Don't you dare, Mom stood up. Peyton, if you do this... 7 minutes. Clark's finger hovered over his phone. The clock ticked. Coffee grew cold. 6 minutes. Dad grabbed the papers, started signing. Mom collapsed onto the sofa, mascara running. Camila stared out the window, shoulders shaking. I hate you, she whispered. I know. I watched Dad sign the last page. But I don't care anymore. Mom signed next, hand trembling. You'll regret this. When you're alone, I'm not alone. I glanced at Clark. I'm just not yours anymore. Camilla took the pen last. This isn't over. Actually, it is. I collected the signed papers. The doorman will show you out. That's it? Mom's voice cracked. Years of family just ended? The family ended when you sold my car. I pressed the elevator button. This is just catching up to reality. They filed out, broken and bitter. As the elevator doors closed, I heard Camila's last shot. Have fun being practical and alone. Clark put his hand on my shoulder. You okay? I looked around my beautiful apartment, thought about my growing wealth, my freedom, my power. I'm better than okay. I smiled. I'm finally free. My phone buzzed. A notification from my investment app. Another successful trade. Want to get dinner? Clark asked. Celebrate? Actually, I picked up my laptop. I want to look at properties abroad. I think it's time for a bigger change. He grinned. Now that's practical. You're moving where? Ella's voice echoed through the restaurant. Several heads turned our way. London, I repeated, stirring my coffee. The firm offered me a position in their international division. Better salary, better opportunities. But what? Camilla's former best friend looked stunned. What about your family? What about them? They're a mess, Peyton. Complete disaster. Camilla's working as a waitress. Your mom had to sell her jewelry. Your dad? Not my problem anymore. I checked my phone. Another message from Clark about our London apartment hunt. They made their choices. Camilla says they're about to lose the house. I set my phone down. Is that why you asked to meet? To guilt me? No, She fidgeted with her napkin. They really thought you'd cave. That you'd rescue them at the last minute. Like always? Yeah, she looked up. But you're different now. Stronger. My phone buzzed again. This time, a text from Mom. Please call us. We need to talk. Your father isn't well. Still trying. I showed Ella the message. Still manipulating. Can you blame them? You're their only hope. I was never their hope. I was their backup plan. And now I'm neither. I stood up, dropping cash for the bill. Outside, Clark was waiting in his car. How'd it go? Predictably. They sent Ella to soften me up. Did it work? What do you think? He grinned, pulling into traffic. I think our flight to London is in 3 weeks. My phone rang. Dad's number. Should I answer? I asked Clark. Your call. I picked up. Hello? Kiddo. Dad's voice was rough. We need to talk, face to face. Nothing to talk about. Please. Your mother, she's not handling things well. And Camila, still not my problem. "We're selling the house," he blurted. "Everything's gone wrong. We need our practical daughter." I laughed. Funny how I'm suddenly useful again. "Peyton, please, one meeting. That's all I ask." I looked at Clark, who nodded slowly. "Fine. One meeting, my apartment, 1 hour." They arrived looking shabby, defeated. Mom's designer clothes replaced by department store basics. Camila's perfect makeup smudged from crying. "Nice place," Dad said weakly. "Really nice." "What do you want?" Mom burst into tears. "We've lost everything. The house is in foreclosure, the cars are gone, Camila's working double shifts." "Welcome to real life," I stayed standing, "where actions have consequences." "You have to help us," Camila stepped forward. "You're rich now. You can what? Enable you more? Fix your mistakes? Be your practical safety net?" "We're family," shouted. "No." I pulled out my laptop. "We're strangers who share DNA, and I'm leaving the country in 3 weeks." The silence was absolute. "Leaving?" Dad whispered. "London. New job, new life." I opened my email, showed them the offer letter. "Far away from here." "You can't," Camila grabbed my arm. "You can't leave us like this." I shook her off. "Like you left me stranded without a car? Like that?" "That was different," Mom protested. "We did that for Camila. Always for Camila." I walked to the window. "Well, this is for me." "I'll tell everyone what you did," Camila threatened. "How you abandoned your family." "Go ahead," I turned back. "Tell them how you stole from me, forged my signature, destroyed my credit. Tell them everything." Dad stepped between us. "Please, we're begging you. Help us one last time." "No, we'll do anything," Mom whispered. "Anything?" I raised an eyebrow. "Then do this. Leave. Accept the consequences of your actions. Live with your choices." "Like you're living with yours?" Camila spat. "Exactly." I opened my door. "Goodbye." They filed out, broken and angry. Mom's tears, Dad's slumped shoulders, Camila's final glare. Clark emerged from my office once they were gone. "You okay?" "Better than okay." I looked at my laptop, at the London offer letter. "I'm free. They'll try again." "Let them." I closed the laptop. I'm done being practical for people who only want me when they're desperate. My phone lit up with messages. Mom begging, Dad guilt-tripping, Camila threatening. I blocked them all. "Ready for dinner?" Clark asked. "We should celebrate your freedom." I looked around my apartment, thought about London, about the future I'd built while they weren't watching. "Yes," I said, "I'm ready for everything." The sun set over the city, painting the sky in colors of change. Somewhere across town, my family was facing their consequences, and I was facing my future. The London rain tapped against my office window as I scrolled through my social media feed. Ella had tagged me in a post, my old house now listed for sale at a fraction of its worth. Below it, Camila's latest update. "Sometimes rock bottom has a basement. #struggling. #need a miracle." My phone buzzed. Clark's message. "Ready for lunch? Big news." I grabbed my umbrella and headed down to our favorite cafe near the Thames. Clark was already there, grinning like he'd won the lottery. "You'll never guess who emailed me," he said as I sat down. "Wesley? Better. Your sister." I nearly choked on my water. "What?" He pulled out his phone. "Listen to this. Dear Clark, I know we've never properly met, but I need to reach Peyton. Mom and Dad won't admit it, but we're about to be homeless. I'm not asking for money this time. I just want to apologize. Really apologize. Please." "Right," I scoffed. "Because they've changed so much." Actually, he showed me more screenshots. Look at her recent posts. No more designer clothes. She's working 2 jobs, teaching yoga on the side. So maybe hitting rock bottom actually taught them something. I stirred my coffee. Or maybe they're getting better at manipulation. Only one way to find out. I sighed. "You want me to call her. I want you to be sure about all of it." He leaned back. "You've won, Peyton. You're successful, free, living your best life. Maybe it's time to what? Forgive them? To stop letting them have any power over you at all." My phone lit up. A video call from an unknown number. Camila. Speak of the devil, I muttered. Answer it, Clark urged. What's the worst that could happen? I accepted the call. Camila's face appeared, makeup free, hair pulled back. She looked different. Peyton, oh God, you actually answered. I'm hanging up if this is about money. It's not. I mean, we're broke, yes. The house is being auctioned tomorrow, but that's not why I'm calling. Then why? Because I get it now. She looked directly into the camera. What it's like to work horrible jobs, to take the bus, to be practical. I stayed silent. I was awful to you. We all were. And I'm not asking you to fix it. I needed you to know that I understand now. What we did, what I did. Understanding doesn't change anything. I know. She smiled sadly. But maybe this will. I'm proud of you, for standing up to us, for being stronger than I ever was. Clark watched me carefully as I processed her words. Mom and Dad? I finally asked. Still in denial, still hoping for miracles. She shrugged. But I'm not. I'm getting my yoga teaching certification, starting over. Why tell me this?
Because you were right about everything, and I needed you to know that at least one of us learned from it. I looked at Clark, who nodded encouragingly. Camila? Yeah? Send me the yoga studio's information. Her eyes widened. What? Not for me, but I know some people in the wellness industry here in London. Maybe they need an instructor. You do that? After everything? I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it because it's practical. I allowed myself a small smile. And that's who I am. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. You'll have to earn it. Prove yourself. I will, I promise. After we hung up, Clark raised his eyebrow. Well what? Feel better? I thought about it. About the anger I'd carried, the satisfaction of revenge, the weight of it all. Actually, yes. I pulled out my laptop. Now, help me find a legitimate yoga studio that won't mind a reformed Instagram princess. That's my practical girl. Stop. I threw a napkin at him. But you're right about one thing. What's that? I did win. Not by destroying them, but by becoming someone they can't destroy. My phone buzzed again. Mom this time, probably having heard from Camila. I declined the call. Not ready for that yet? Clark asked. No, I closed my laptop. Some bridges stay burned, but maybe new ones can be built. Eventually. Practically. One sister at a time? One choice at a time. I stood up. Now about that big news you mentioned? He grinned. Right. The investment firm wants to make you partner. I laughed, gathering my things. The rain had stopped, and London's skyline glittered with possibility. Sometimes karma looks nothing like forgiveness. Sometimes it looks like freedom, like strength, like becoming exactly who you were meant to be. And sometimes, just sometimes, it looks like helping someone else find their way there too. Practically speaking, of course.
I still remember the exact moment I thought I had everything figured out. Standing in our kitchen on a Tuesday evening, admiring how the diamond on my finger caught the light while Greg chopped vegetables for dinner. 3 carats, emerald cut, white gold band. The ring I'd once casually pointed out in a jewelry store window 18 months ago. What's that smile about? Greg asked, knife pausing mid-slice through a red pepper. Just thinking about how in 6 months, I'll be Mrs. Harvey. The words felt both thrilling and strange in my mouth. Chelsea Harvey. After 29 years as Chelsea Winters, I was ready for the change. Greg set down his knife and crossed the kitchen, wrapping his arms around my waist from behind. His cologne, the expensive one I'd given him for Christmas, enveloped me as he pressed his lips to my neck. 6 months is too long, he murmured. I'd marry you tomorrow if we could. I leaned back against his chest, savoring the warmth. Your mother would never forgive us if we eloped. True, Margaret Harvey expects nothing less than the society wedding of the season. He chuckled, returning to his chopping. Speaking of which, did you finalize that appointment with the florist?
Thursday at 2, and the cake tasting is next Tuesday. I pulled up the wedding planning spreadsheet on my tablet, color-coded, meticulously organized, everything in its place. Oh, and Liz wants to know if we've decided on the final guest count for the invitations. Something flickered across Greg's face, so brief I almost missed it. Tension around his eyes, a slight tightening of his jaw. About that, he said, focusing intently on the vegetables. I was thinking we should keep it under 200. 200? I laughed. Greg, your mother's list alone has nearly that many. Add my family, our friends. We'll trim it down. His tone was sharper than usual. It's getting out of hand. I set down my tablet, studying him. Is everything okay? You seem tense. Just work stuff. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. The Richardson merger is a nightmare. Before I could press further, his phone buzzed. Greg wiped his hands and checked the screen, his body language shifting instantly. I need to take this, he said, already walking toward our bedroom. It's Roland about the merger. I nodded, used to these interruptions. As a junior partner at his law firm, Greg was always on call, but something about his retreating back made my stomach tighten. The bedroom door closed. I stood alone in our kitchen, surrounded by half-chopped vegetables and silence. I wasn't proud of what I did next. I moved closer to the bedroom door, telling myself I just needed to know if I should continue dinner prep or if we'd be ordering in. But the truth was simpler. Something felt off. Greg's voice came through muffled but audible. Can't talk about this now. She's right outside. A pause. No, she doesn't suspect anything. Just stick to the plan. My heart stuttered. Plan? What plan? It's all set for June 15th. Yes, at the Westbrook. Another pause. Look, I've got to go. I'll call you tomorrow. June 15th, our wedding date, at the Westbrook Hotel where we'd booked the ballroom 11 months ago. I hurried back to the counter before Greg emerged, pretending to study the tablet. My hands trembled slightly. Sorry about that, he said, returning to the cutting board. Roland's panicking about the presentation tomorrow. I nodded, not trusting my voice. Greg resumed chopping, humming under his breath like nothing had happened. That night, lying beside him in bed, I stared at the ceiling while his breathing deepened into sleep. I told myself I was being paranoid. Greg loved me. We were getting married in 6 months. Whatever that call was about, it had a reasonable explanation. But at 2:17 a.m., with Greg snoring softly beside me, I found myself scrolling through his recent texts with Roland. Nothing suspicious, just work talk and plans for a golf game next weekend. I was about to put his phone down when a text from Paisley appeared. Paisley Whitney, Greg's childhood friend, the gorgeous brunette who always hugged him a beat too long at parties. The woman who, despite my best efforts, made me feel like an outsider in conversations peppered with inside jokes and shared memories. Confirmed the thing we discussed. All good for the 15th. She'll never know. My finger hovered over the message. Opening it would mark it as read. Greg would know I'd snooped. I set the phone down, heart racing. She'll never know. The words echoed in my head as I stared at the ceiling, the diamond on my finger suddenly feeling heavy and cold. The next morning, I kissed Greg goodbye as he left for work, smiling like nothing was wrong, like I hadn't lain awake all night, like I wasn't planning to take a sick day and drive to Paisley's boutique downtown. I love you, he said at the door, straightening his tie. Love you too, I replied automatically. As his car pulled away, I leaned against the doorframe, wondering if either of us had meant it. I didn't go to Paisley's boutique. At the last minute, standing in our foyer with car keys in hand, I realized confronting her would only give her a chance to lie. Instead, I drove to my office, called in sick, then sat in the parking lot staring at my phone. The text from Paisley kept replaying in my mind. She'll never know. 3 words that cracked the foundation of everything I thought was solid. I opened my laptop and logged into our shared email account, the one we'd created for wedding planning. My hands were steady now, my mind clear with purpose. If there was something to find, I'd find it. Most of the emails were exactly what you'd expect. Confirmations from vendors, questions about menu options, seating chart drafts. Nothing suspicious. Until I found it. An email from the Westbrook Hotel's event coordinator, dated 3 weeks ago. Dear Mr. Harvey, thank you for your updated guest list for the June 15th celebration. We've noted the changes and will adjust the seating chart accordingly. Please confirm the final head count by May 1st. I clicked on the attachment. A spreadsheet opened, listing names in alphabetical order. 212 guests. I scrolled through, recognizing Greg's family members, colleagues from his firm, college friends. Paisley's name was there, of course. Roland's, too. My finger froze on the scroll wheel. My name wasn't on the list, not just missing from the list. My parents weren't there either. Not Liz, not a single person from my side. I checked again, scrolling more slowly. Nothing. No one connected to me appeared anywhere on the guest list for my own wedding. My phone buzzed with a text from Greg. How are you feeling? Need me to bring home soup? I stared at his message, this casual act of caring from a man who'd apparently planned a wedding without me. I'm fine, I typed back. Just a headache. 3 dots appeared as he typed his response. Take it easy. Love you. I set the phone down without replying. By noon, I'd gone through every email in the account. There were dozens of communications about the wedding that Greg had never mentioned. Details he'd finalized without consulting me. Decisions made as if my opinion didn't matter, or as if I wouldn't be there. I called Liz. Hey, Sickie, she answered. Shouldn't you be in bed watching trashy TV? I need to ask you something, I said, my voice surprisingly calm. Has Greg talked to you about the wedding lately? Not really. Why? He hasn't mentioned any changes to the date or anything? A pause. Chelsea, what's going on? I don't know yet. I took a deep breath. But I need a favor. Can you call the Westbrook and ask about an event on June 15th? Just say you're confirming details for the Harvey celebration. Okay, but please, Liz, don't use my name. Just ask what kind of event it is. 20 minutes later, my phone rang. So I called, Liz said without preamble. The woman at the Westbrook was super helpful. The Harvey event on June 15th is a corporate celebration for the law firm's merger with Richardson Group. The car suddenly felt too small. I rolled down the window, gulping air. Chelsea, you still there? It's not a wedding, I whispered. No, definitely not. She said it's been planned as a corporate event from the beginning. Booked 8 months ago. 8 months ago, when Greg and I were already engaged, when we were supposedly looking at wedding venues together. There's more, Liz continued, her voice gentle. I asked if there was any other event for Greg Harvey at the hotel this year. She checked and said no. The world tilted sideways. He's not planning to marry me. Maybe there's an explanation, Liz offered, but her tone betrayed her doubt. Maybe he's planning a surprise? A surprise wedding where I'm not on the guest list? My laugh sounded hollow even to my own ears. Where my family isn't invited. Come over, Liz said. You shouldn't be alone right now. I need to think. After hanging up, I sat motionless, watching people come and go from the office building. Normal people having normal days. People whose fiancés weren't planning elaborate celebrations without them. My phone rang again. Roland's name flashed on the screen. I answered without thinking. Chelsea, hey, is Greg with you? Roland sounded rushed. No, I'm not feeling well. I stayed home. Damn, he's not answering his phone, and we need to finalize some details for the 15th. The caterer needs a decision on the champagne for the toast. My heart pounded. The toast? Yeah, when Greg announces the merger, it's his big moment. First major deal as partner. He wants everything perfect. Of course, I managed. His big moment. Sorry to bother you with this. I know you're not involved in the planning. Greg wanted to keep you out of it so you wouldn't have to deal with the stress. How considerate. Actually, Roland, I said, surprising myself with how steady my voice sounded, I've been helping with some details. Remind me, what's the dress code again? Black tie, obviously. Greg's been obsessing over it for months. Says it's the most important night of his life. The most important night of his life. Not our wedding day, a corporate party. Thanks, Roland. I'll tell him you called. I hung up and started the car. As I pulled out of the parking lot, my engagement ring caught the sunlight, sending prisms dancing across the dashboard. By the time I reached our apartment, I knew exactly what I needed to do next. Our apartment felt different when I returned, smaller, filled with lies. I moved through the rooms like a detective, seeing everything with new eyes. The framed photo of us in Cabo, Greg's arm around my waist, my face turned up to his in adoration. The wedding magazines stacked neatly on the coffee table, the save the date sample cards we'd been discussing just last week, props, all of it. I sat on our bed, the bed where we'd made love 2 nights ago, where he'd whispered plans for our future, and tried to make sense of it all. Why maintain this elaborate charade? Why propose, plan a fake wedding, build a life with me if he didn't want to marry me? The engagement ring felt like it was burning my finger. I twisted it off and held it up to the light. 3 carats of empty promises. My phone buzzed with a text from Greg. Meeting running late. Home by 7. Love you. I didn't respond. Instead, I opened my laptop and began searching through our photos from the past year. There were hundreds. Dinners, vacations, parties with friends. I studied Greg's face in each one, looking for signs I'd missed. Had he been faking it all along? Was anything real? In one photo from New Year's Eve, I noticed something I hadn't before. While I beamed at the camera, Greg was looking slightly to the side, at Paisley, who stood just out of frame in the next photo. I closed the laptop and did what I should have done hours ago. I called my mother. "Chelsea, what a nice surprise," she answered, her voice instantly soothing. "Mom, My voice cracked. I hadn't realized how close to breaking I was until I heard her voice. "What's wrong, sweetheart?" The whole story spilled out. The mysterious text, the guest list without my name, Roland's call about the corporate party. With each detail, my mother's silence grew heavier. "I don't understand why he would do this," I finished, wiping tears from my cheeks. "Oh, honey." Her voice was gentle but firm. "You need to confront him. What if I'm wrong? What if there's an explanation? Then you'll hear it from him. But Chelsea, trust your instincts. They've always been good." After we hung up, I wandered into the kitchen and opened the refrigerator, staring blankly at its contents. On the top shelf sat a bottle of champagne, the expensive kind Greg liked. Saved for a special occasion, he'd said. Like celebrating a successful merger, perhaps. I grabbed the bottle and a glass, then settled on the couch. One glass turned into 2 as I waited, rehearsing what I would say when he walked through the door. At 6:45, my phone rang. "Liz, I did something," she said without greeting. "Don't be mad." My stomach dropped. "What did you do?" I called Krista Burns, our mutual friend who worked at Greg's law firm. "Why would you?" "Because she knows things, Chelsea. She's at the firm every day. She hears things." I set down my glass. "And?" "She's coming over to my place now. You should too." 20 minutes later, I was sitting in Liz's living room, facing Krista. Her expression was a mixture of pity and discomfort that made my skin crawl. "Just tell me," I said. Krista twisted her hands in her lap. "I didn't know how to tell you this. I thought maybe it wasn't my place." "Tell me what?" "The merger celebration is real," she said slowly. "But there's more to it. Greg's been seeing someone at the firm, Meredith, from corporate accounts." The room tilted slightly. "Seeing someone, you mean?" "They've been together for about 4 months. Everyone at the office knows." 4 months, while he was planning our wedding, while he was sleeping in our bed. "There's a rumor," Krista continued, her voice dropping, "that he's going to announce their engagement at the party, after the merger announcement." The champagne churned in my stomach. "He's going to propose to someone else at the party he told me was our wedding date." Liz moved to sit beside me, her arm around my shoulders. "I'm so sorry, Chelsea." "Does everyone know?" I asked, my voice small. "About me, I mean. Do they all know I'm being played for a fool?" Krista looked away. "Not everyone, but some people, yes." The humiliation burned worse than the betrayal. Strangers pitying me, laughing behind my back while I picked out flower arrangements and cake flavors. "I need to go," I said suddenly, standing up. "You can't confront him like this," Liz said, grabbing my arm. "You're upset. You've been drinking." "I'm not going to confront him." A strange calm settled over me. "Not yet." Back in my car, I sat for a long moment before starting the engine. The engagement ring sat heavy in my pocket where I'd stuffed it earlier. 3 carats, emerald cut, white gold band. I drove to a small jewelry store downtown, one I knew stayed open late. The elderly appraiser examined the ring carefully, turning it under a special light. "Beautiful piece," he said. "May I ask why you're selling?" "It doesn't fit anymore," I replied. He named a price, less than I'd hoped, more than I'd feared. Enough. "I'll take it," I said. Walking out with a check instead of a ring, I felt lighter, the first step toward something, though I wasn't sure what yet. My phone buzzed with a text from Greg. "Just got home. Where are you?" I typed back. "With Liz, girl stuff. Don't wait up." Then I called Paisley. "Chelsea?" She sounded surprised. "Is everything okay?" "Actually, no," I said, my voice steady. "We need to talk. Tomorrow, about Greg." There was a long pause before she answered. "I think you're right. It's time." I didn't go home that night. I couldn't face sleeping next to Greg, pretending everything was normal while my insides twisted with betrayal. Instead, I crashed on Liz's couch, staring at the ceiling until dawn broke through the blinds. "You look like hell," Liz said, handing me coffee in her chipped girl boss mug. "Thanks." I took a sip, wincing at the strength. Liz always made coffee that could strip paint. "What's the plan with Paisley?" I checked my phone. 3 missed calls from Greg, 6 texts ranging from concerned to irritated. Nothing from Paisley yet. "I'm meeting her at Blackbird Cafe at 10. I set down the mug. I need to know how deep this goes, how long she's known. "And then what?" Liz perched on the arm of the couch. "You confront Greg?" I shook my head. "Not yet. I need more information first." "Information for what?" The question hung between us. What exactly was I planning? To catch Greg in the act? To publicly humiliate him the way he'd humiliated me? "I don't know," I admitted, "but I'm done being the clueless fiancé." At 9:55, I walked into Blackbird Cafe. The familiar scent of coffee and pastries turned my stomach. Greg and I had spent countless Sunday mornings here, planning our future over croissants and lattes. Paisley was already seated in a corner booth, fidgeting with a sugar packet. She looked up when I approached, her expression guarded. "Thanks for meeting me," I said, sliding into the seat across from her. "I ordered you a vanilla latte," she said, pushing a steaming mug toward me. My usual order. Of course she knew it. "How long have you known?" I asked, skipping the small talk. Paisley's eyes dropped to the table. "Known what? That Greg's been cheating on me, that our wedding is a sham, that he's planning to propose to someone else." Her head snapped up. "Propose? To who?" "Meredith from his office." Paisley's face went through a series of emotions: shock, confusion, then something like anger. "That's not what he told me." "What did he tell you?" She hesitated, twisting the sugar packet until it burst, white granules spilling across the dark table. "That he was having doubts about marrying you, that he needed time. The party at the Westbrook was supposed to be a celebration of the merger, yes, but also a way to buy time while he figured things out. By lying to me, by letting me continue planning a wedding that was never going to happen. He said he didn't want to hurt you." Her voice was small. "He cares about you, Chelsea. He just don't." My voice cut through the cafe, sharper than I intended. A few heads turned our way. I lowered my voice. "Don't tell me he cares about me. Men who care don't do this." Paisley looked genuinely distressed. "I swear I didn't know about Meredith or any proposal plans." I studied her face, searching for deception. Either she was telling the truth or she was an exceptional actress. What was the text about? The one saying, "She'll never know"? Paisley flushed. "The party? He didn't want you to know it wasn't really your wedding date. He was going to suggest postponing a few weeks before, claim a work emergency." "And you helped him with this plan?" "I told him it was wrong," she said quickly. "I told him to be honest with you." "But you still helped him." The betrayal stung fresh. Paisley had been in our lives for years. I'd invited her into my home, shared meals with her, trusted her. "I've known Greg since we were kids," she said, as if that explained everything. "But I never wanted to see you hurt." Yet, here we are. Paisley reached across the table, her fingers stopping just short of mine. "What are you going to do?" "I haven't decided yet." I took a sip of the latte she'd ordered me. It tasted like cardboard. "But I need to know everything. When did this start?" The doubts, the cheating, all of it. Paisley's story unfolded between sips of cooling coffee. Greg's cold feet had started months ago, around Christmas. The Meredith affair was news to Paisley, but she wasn't entirely surprised. There had been rumors about Greg's wandering eye long before he met me, rumors Paisley had dismissed as jealousy from others. "There's something else," she said finally. "Something I probably should have told you a long time ago." My stomach clenched. "What?" "Greg and we were together once, years ago before he met you. It didn't work out, but you still have feelings for him." The pieces clicked into place. Paisley's lingering hugs, her constant presence, the way she always managed to be included in our plans. She didn't deny it. "It doesn't matter how I feel. He chose you." "Did he?" I laughed bitterly, "because it seems like he's choosing Meredith now." As I walked out of the cafe, my phone buzzed with a text from Greg. "Where are you? I'm worried. Please come home so we can talk." Home. The word felt hollow now. Instead of responding, I called Roland. "Chelsea?" He sounded surprised. "Everything okay?" "Actually, I need a favor. It's about the party at the Westbrook." "What about it?" "I want to help with the planning. It's important to Greg, which means it's important to me." There was a pause. "Are you sure?" "Greg was pretty clear about keeping you out of it." "I'm sure." My voice was steady. "I want to surprise him." After hanging up, I stood on the sidewalk, watching people rush past. Normal people with normal lives. People who weren't plotting. Whatever it was, I was plotting. My phone buzzed again. A text from Liz. "How did it go with Paisley?" I typed back, "I need your help with something." something that might be a little crazy. Her response was immediate. I'm in. I finally went home that afternoon. The apartment was empty. Greg had left a note saying he had meetings all day. Perfect. I needed space to think, to plan. I sat cross-legged on our bed, laptop open, staring at the email Roland had forwarded, the complete planning details for the Westbrook event. Everything from the menu, filet mignon, Greg's favorite, to the seating chart, Meredith at the head table, right beside Greg, to the minute-by-minute schedule. 9:45 p.m., GH speech, plus special announcement. The special announcement made my stomach clench. I now knew exactly what it was. My phone buzzed with a text from Liz. Operation Karma is a go. What's next? I smiled despite everything. Liz had been my rock through this nightmare, ready to help me without question. I typed back, working on it. Meet me at your place at 7? As I closed my laptop, something caught my eye. The framed photo on our nightstand. Greg and me in Aspen last winter, snowflakes catching in my hair as he kissed my cheek. We looked happy. We had been happy, hadn't we? I picked up the frame, studying Greg's face. Had he been faking it even then? Had any of it been real? The sound of keys in the door jolted me back to reality. I shoved the laptop under the covers just as Greg walked into the bedroom. There you are. Relief washed over his face. I've been worried sick. Sorry, I said, forcing a smile. Girl emergency. Liz was having a crisis. He sat beside me on the bed, taking my hands in his. His touch, once comforting, now made my skin crawl. You could have called, he said, his thumb brushing over my knuckles. Then he frowned. Where's your ring? I'd forgotten about the ring. The ring I'd sold yesterday. I took it to be cleaned, I lied smoothly. It was looking a little dull. Greg nodded, seemingly satisfied. I missed you last night. I missed you too. The words tasted like ash. He leaned in to kiss me, and I let him, fighting the urge to pull away. His lips moved to my neck, his intentions clear. I can't, I said, pulling back. I'm not feeling well. That's part of why I stayed at Liz's. Concern creased his brow. What's wrong? Just a stomach ache. At least that wasn't a lie. My stomach had been in knots for days. Poor baby. He kissed my forehead. Get some rest. I need to head back to the office anyway. Big presentation tomorrow. After he left, I showered, scrubbing at my skin as if I could wash away his touch. Then I packed an overnight bag and headed to Liz's. She opened the door with a glass of wine in hand. You look like you need this more than I do. I took the glass and drained half of it in one gulp. That bad, huh? She led me to her living room, where Krista sat surrounded by papers. I've got everything you asked for, Krista said, handing me a folder. Guest list, schedule, security details. I flipped through the pages, my resolve strengthening with each detail. This is perfect. Chelsea, Krista said hesitantly. Are you sure about this? It's not too late to just confront him privately. And let him spin more lies? I shook my head. He needs to face what he's done, publicly, the way he was planning to humiliate me publicly. I get that, but he's been living a double life, Krista, sleeping with Meredith while planning a wedding with me, letting me believe in a future that was never going to happen. My voice cracked. Do you know what that feels like? To realize your entire relationship was a lie? Krista looked away. No, I don't. I'm not just doing this for revenge, I continued, softer now. I'm doing it because he shouldn't get to walk away from this unscathed. He shouldn't get to be the good guy who everyone congratulates on his new engagement while I'm left picking up the pieces. Liz squeezed my shoulder. We're with you, whatever you need. We spent the next hour finalizing our plan. It was simple but effective, I would attend the party uninvited, wait for Greg's big announcement, and then make one of my own. What about after? Krista asked. Have you thought about that part? I hadn't. In my mind, the plan ended with Greg's public humiliation. I hadn't considered the aftermath, where I would go, what I would do. I'll figure it out, I said, but uncertainty crept in. Was I really ready to blow up my entire life? As if reading my thoughts, Liz said, "You can stay with me as long as you need. We'll get through this together." My phone buzzed with a text from Greg. "Working late, don't wait up. Love you." The casual "love you" made me want to scream. How many times had he sent the same text to Meredith? As I stared at the message, another text came through from Paisley. "We need to talk again. There's something you should know before you do anything." I showed the text to Liz. "What do you think?" "Could be a trap," she said. "Maybe Greg suspects something and put her up to it. Or maybe she knows something important." I typed back to Paisley. "When and where?" Her response was immediate. "Now, the park bench near the fountain." I grabbed my jacket. "I have to go." "Want me to come with you?" Liz asked. "No, I need to do this alone." The park was quiet at this hour, just a few joggers and dog walkers. Paisley sat alone on the bench, her face pale in the fading light. "Thank you for coming," she said as I sat beside her. "What's this about, Paisley?" She took a deep breath. "I lied to you earlier, about Greg and me. It wasn't years ago. We were together 6 months ago." The world tilted sideways. 6 months ago? We were already engaged then. Paisley nodded, tears welling in her eyes. "It was just once. He said he was confused, having doubts." "And Meredith?" "Started after me, as far as I know." She wiped at her eyes. "I'm so sorry, Chelsea. I should have told you sooner." I sat in stunned silence, absorbing this new betrayal. Not just one affair, but 2, maybe more. "Why are you telling me this now?" I finally asked. "Because whatever you're planning, you should know exactly who you're dealing with." Paisley met my eyes. "And because I want to help." "Help how?" I asked Paisley, unable to keep the skepticism from my voice. "You've been lying to me for months. Why should I trust you now?" She flinched but held my gaze. "Because I know things about Greg that could help you, and because I'm tired of being part of his games." The evening air felt suddenly colder. A jogger passed us, breath fogging in the twilight. "What kind of things?" "Evidence," Paisley said. "Texts, emails, things he said when he thought no one was keeping score." She pulled out her phone, scrolling to a conversation. "Like this." I took the phone, my hand surprisingly steady. The texts were dated 3 weeks ago. "Greg, Chelsea's talking about cake flavors again. Kill me." Paisley, "Just tell her the truth already, Greg. Not yet. Need to wait until after the merger announcement. Too much riding on this." Paisley, "It's cruel to keep stringing her along, Greg. It's temporary. I'll break it off after the 15th. Clean slate with Meredith." I handed the phone back, a strange calm settling over me. "You have more of these?" Paisley nodded. "Lots. He's been planning this for months, breaking up with you right after the party. He just didn't want the drama to interfere with his big moment." "And Meredith knows about me?" "Yes. Greg told her you were already broken up, just living together until you found a new place." Paisley's voice softened. "I'm sorry, Chelsea. I should have said something sooner." "Why didn't you?" She looked away. "Because I'm a coward. Because part of me still hoped." She trailed off. "That he'd choose you instead." I finished for her. Paisley nodded, tears spilling down her cheeks. Pathetic, right? Even knowing what kind of man he really is. I should have hated her. She'd betrayed me almost as much as Greg had. But looking at her tear-streaked face, I felt an unexpected kinship. We were both victims of the same man's manipulation. "What are you planning to do?" she asked. I hesitated. Could I trust her, or was this another trap? "I'm going to the party," I said finally. "Beyond that, I'm still figuring things out." "Let me help," she said, wiping her tears. "Whatever you're planning, I want in." "Why would you do that?" "Because he deserves it, and because maybe it'll help me finally get over him." I studied her face, searching for deception. Finding none, I nodded. "Come to Liz's tomorrow at noon. We'll talk then." Back at Liz's apartment, I found her and Krista still strategizing. They looked up when I entered. "What did Paisley want?" Liz asked. I told them everything, the affair with Greg, the texts, her offer to help. "You can't trust her," Liz said immediately. "This could be a setup." "I saw the texts," I countered. "They were real." "She could have faked them," Krista suggested. "Or maybe Greg knows you're onto him and they're working together to find out what you know." The possibility hadn't occurred to me. "You think Greg suspects something?" "You've been acting different," Krista pointed out. "Staying away from home, not wearing your ring. He'd have to be completely oblivious not to notice." My phone buzzed with a text from Greg. "Are you coming home tonight? We need to talk." My heart raced. Had I been too obvious? Had he somehow discovered my plan? "What do I do?" I showed them the text. "Go home," Liz said after a moment. "Act normal. If he suspects something, you need to throw him off the scent." "I don't know if I can face him without falling apart." "You can," Krista said firmly. "You're stronger than you think." An hour later, I walked into our apartment. Greg sat on the couch, a glass of scotch in hand. He looked up when I entered, his expression unreadable. "Hey," I said, aiming for casual. "Sorry I'm late. Liz needed help with some work stuff." "Sit down," he said, patting the spot beside him. "We need to talk." I sat, leaving space between us, my heart hammering. "What's up?" "I've been thinking about us," he began, swirling the amber liquid in his glass. "About the wedding." This was it. He was going to end it. All my plans for the party would be for nothing. "What about it?" I managed to ask. "I think we should postpone." "Not cancel. Postpone." He was still playing the game. "Postpone?" I repeated, trying to sound surprised rather than furious. "Just for a few months," he said, reaching for my hand. I let him take it, fighting the urge to pull away. "With the merger happening, work is insane right now. I can't give our wedding the attention it deserves." I nodded slowly, as if considering his words. "I see. You're not upset?" I forced a smile. "Of course I'm disappointed, but I want our day to be perfect. If that means waiting, then we wait." Relief washed over his face. He hadn't expected it to be this easy. "You're amazing," he said, leaning in to kiss me. "Most women would be freaking out." I kissed him back, tasting the scotch on his lips, imagining they were Meredith's just hours earlier. "I'm not most women." "No, you're not." He smiled, pulling me closer. "That's why I love you." The lie hung between us, almost tangible in its audacity. Later, lying beside him in bed, listening to his steady breathing, I made my final decision. No more doubts, no more hesitation. Greg had made his choice, and now I was making mine. I slipped out of bed and texted Liz, "I'm all in. Let's make him regret the day he ever thought he could play me." Then I texted Paisley, "Noon tomorrow. Bring everything you have." The party was 3 days away. Just enough time to ensure it would be a night Greg Harvey would never forget. The Westbrook Hotel's grand ballroom glittered with crystal chandeliers and success. Men in tuxedos and women in cocktail dresses mingled, champagne flutes catching the light as they clinked in celebration. From my position near the service entrance, I could see everything, including Greg at the center of it all, Meredith by his side in a red dress that probably cost more than my monthly salary. "Are you sure about this?" Liz whispered beside me, adjusting the lapel of her borrowed catering uniform. We'd slipped in with the staff thanks to Krista's connection with the event coordinator. "I've never been more sure of anything," I said, though my hands trembled slightly as I straightened my own uniform. The past 3 days had been a blur of planning and pretending, playing the understanding fiancé while secretly preparing for tonight. Greg had been so wrapped up in the merger that he barely noticed my distraction, my frequent absences. The missing engagement ring I claimed was still being cleaned. "There's Paisley." Liz nodded toward the bar where Paisley stood in a sleek black dress, looking nervous but determined. She caught my eye and gave an almost imperceptible nod. Everything was set. "It's almost time," I said, checking my watch. 9:30. 15 minutes until Greg's speech and his special announcement. Liz squeezed my arm. "You don't have to go through with this. We could leave right now, and you could confront him privately tomorrow." For a moment, I wavered. Was I really going to do this? Publicly expose Greg and humiliate not just him, but myself? Everyone would know I'd been played for a fool. Then I saw him laugh at something Meredith said, his hand resting possessively on her lower back, the same way it had rested on mine countless times. The same practiced gesture, the same practiced smile. "No," I said firmly, "he doesn't get to walk away from this clean." At 9:40, Roland tapped a knife against his glass, calling for attention. The crowd quieted as he introduced Greg, applauding as my fiancé, no, my ex-fiancé, took the small stage at the front of the room. "Thank you all for coming tonight," Greg began, his voice confident, practiced. "This merger represents not just a business achievement, but a personal one as well." I moved closer, weaving through the crowd, Liz right behind me. Paisley caught my eye from across the room and began moving toward the stage from the opposite direction. "As many of you know, the past year has been transformative for me," Greg continued. "And tonight, I want to share something special with all of you." My heart pounded so loudly, I was sure everyone could hear it. This was it. "Before I do that, I want to thank someone who's been instrumental in making this merger happen." Greg smiled, turning slightly. "Meredith, would you join me up here?" Meredith looked surprised, but pleased as she made her way to the stage. The crowd murmured appreciatively. She was beautiful, I had to admit. Tall, elegant, confident. Meredith joined our firm just 8 months ago, but in that time, she's become indispensable, Greg said, taking her hand, both professionally and personally. A knowing chuckle rippled through the crowd. This wasn't news to them. They'd all been in on it. I stepped forward, my catering uniform allowing me to move through the crowd unnoticed. 20 feet from the stage now. 15. "In fact," Greg continued, reaching into his pocket, "I can't imagine my future without her." The crowd gasped as he pulled out a small velvet box. Meredith's hand flew to her mouth in what looked like genuine surprise. 10 feet from the stage. "Meredith," Greg said, dropping to one knee, "will you—" "Interesting proposal, Greg," I said loudly, stepping into the open space before the stage, "especially considering you're already engaged." The room went silent. Every head turned toward me. Greg froze, still on one knee, the ring box open in his hand. His face drained of color as he recognized me. "Chelsea," his voice cracked. "What are you doing here?" "I came to celebrate," I said, my voice surprisingly steady. "Your merger, your engagement, your extraordinary talent for living a double life." Meredith looked from Greg to me, confusion giving way to understanding. "Your Chelsea, his ex-fiancé?" "Ex?" I raised my eyebrows. That's news to me. As of this morning, we were still very much engaged, still sharing an apartment, still planning our wedding. I turned to the crowd. Or at least, I was planning a wedding. Greg was planning this. Murmurs swept through the room. Greg stood, closing the ring box, his expression hardening. This isn't the place, Chelsea. No. I stepped closer to the stage. Funny, you seemed perfectly comfortable making your announcement here, in front of all these people, on what was supposed to be our wedding date. Gasps and whispers now. Meredith stepped back from Greg, her face a mask of humiliation. You told me you broke up months ago, she said to Greg, her voice tight with anger. He told me we were postponing the wedding because of work stress, I countered. Turns out he's been lying to both of us. Greg's face flushed with anger. That's enough, Chelsea. You're making a scene. A scene? I laughed, the sound brittle even to my own ears. You haven't seen a scene yet. I nodded to Paisley, who stepped forward from the other side of the room. Greg's been playing us all, she said, her voice carrying across the now silent ballroom. He was with me 6 months ago, while engaged to Chelsea. Then he moved on to Meredith, while still planning a wedding with Chelsea. Roland stepped forward, confusion on his face. Greg, what the hell is going on? Greg's composure cracked. This is ridiculous. You're all overreacting. I was going to end things with Chelsea after tonight. I just didn't want to deal with the drama before the merger. The drama, I repeated, my voice ice cold. That's what our 3-year relationship was to you? Drama to be managed? I turned to face the crowd, making eye contact with as many people as I could. I came here tonight not just to expose Greg, but to reclaim my dignity. I wanted you all to know that I wasn't some pathetic, clueless girlfriend. I knew, and I refused to let him control the narrative any longer. The room was utterly silent now, all eyes on me. So congratulations on your merger, Greg, and good luck with your next engagement. I'm sure it will be as meaningful and honest as ours was. With that, I turned and walked toward the exit, head high, heart pounding. Behind me, I heard the eruption of voices, Meredith's angry accusations, Greg's desperate attempts to explain. I didn't look back. The night air hit my face as I pushed through the hotel's revolving doors, cool and clarifying after the stifling tension of the ballroom. My legs carried me across the marble-floored lobby and out to the fountain plaza, where water danced and sparkled under carefully positioned lights. I sat on the fountain's edge, suddenly aware of my racing heart, the adrenaline coursing through my veins. I'd done it. After days of planning, of pretending, of swallowing my rage, I'd finally exposed Greg for what he was. So why didn't I feel better? Chelsea! I looked up to see Liz hurrying toward me, still in her catering uniform, concern etched across her face. Are you okay? She asked, sitting beside me. I don't know, I admitted. I thought I'd feel triumphant. Instead, I just feel empty. You were amazing in there, she said. You should have seen Greg's face after you left. Meredith threw the ring at him and stormed out. Half the room followed her. The other half just stood there staring at him like he'd grown a second head. I should have felt satisfaction at that image. Instead, I felt a strange pang of sympathy. Not for Greg, never for Greg, but for the life I'd thought we had. The future I'd planned. All of it gone, exposed as a mirage. What happens now? I asked, more to myself than to Liz. Before she could answer, the hotel doors opened again. Paisley emerged, followed by Roland and Krista. They spotted us and walked over. That was quite a show, Roland said, loosening his tie. I had no idea, Chelsea. None of us did. I think some of you did, I said, not unkindly. You just looked the other way. He had the grace to look ashamed. Maybe. I'm sorry. Paisley sat on my other side. Greg's still in there, trying to salvage what's left of his reputation. It's not going well. Good, Liz said firmly. Is it, though? I looked at each of them. Will humiliating Greg change anything? Will it undo what he did? Will it make me feel whole again? Maybe not, Krista said gently, but it stopped him from hurting Meredith the way he hurt you. And it showed him he can't treat people like disposable props in his life. She was right, I realized. This wasn't just about revenge. It was about breaking a pattern, about refusing to be silenced or erased. The hotel doors opened again. This time, Greg emerged, his face flushed, tie askew. He spotted our group and hesitated before walking over, stopping a few feet away. "Come to finish what you started?" he asked, his voice tight with anger. "I think you finished it yourself," I replied calmly. "Long before tonight. You had no right to ambush me like that, to ruin everything I've worked for. Like you were planning to ambush me after the party?" I stood to face him. "With a breakup you'd been planning for months while I was still picking out wedding flowers?" He flinched. "It wasn't like that." "It was exactly like that." I stepped closer. "You know what your mistake was, Greg? Not the cheating, not even the lies. It was underestimating me, thinking I was too naive, too trusting, too in love with you to ever see through your facade. I did love you," he said, his voice dropping. "At the beginning, I just fell out of love. Then you should have told me, given me the dignity of the truth, and you would have accepted that? Just walked away quietly?" The question caught me off guard. Would I have? Or would I have fought, pleaded, tried to change his mind? "I'll never know," I said finally, "because you never gave me the chance to find out." Greg looked at the group surrounding me, Liz, Paisley, Roland, Krista, people who had chosen to stand with me rather than him. "So what now?" he asked. "You've had your revenge, destroyed my relationship with Meredith, humiliated me in front of everyone who matters. Are you satisfied?" I considered the question seriously. "No," I said, "I'm not satisfied, but I am free. Free of the lies, free of the doubt, free of wondering what I did wrong or how I could fix it." I reached into my pocket and pulled out my keys, removing the one to our apartment. I held it out to him. "I'll be by tomorrow to get my things," I said. "After that, we never need to see each other again." He took the key, his fingers brushing mine for the last time. "For what it's worth, I am sorry. Not for tonight, but for everything else." "I know," I said, surprising myself with the realization that I believed him. "But it doesn't change anything." Greg nodded once, then turned and walked away, shoulders slumped, looking smaller somehow than the man I'd thought I knew. "Come on," Liz said, linking her arm through mine. "Let's get out of here." As we walked toward the street, Paisley fell into step beside me. "What will you do now?" "I don't know yet," I admitted, "but for the first time in a long time, that feels okay." We reached the sidewalk, the night spread out before us, full of possibilities I hadn't allowed myself to consider while trapped in Greg's web of lies. "You know what I want right now?" I said suddenly. "Pancakes from that 24-hour diner on 7th. Liz laughed. "Pancakes it is." As we walked, I felt something shift inside me. Not healing, not yet, but the beginning of it. The first step on a path that was entirely my own. "You're going to be okay," Krista said, as if reading my thoughts. I looked up at the night sky, at the stars barely visible through the city lights. "I know," I said. "I already am." And in that moment, standing on the sidewalk with people who had seen me at my worst and still stood by me, I realized it was true. The pain wasn't gone, the betrayal still fresh. But beneath it all was something stronger. The knowledge that I had faced the truth and survived it, that I had refused to be a footnote in someone else's story. I had reclaimed my own.
I stared at the old vacation photo, my finger tracing the edges where I should have been. There was Ross, front and center as always, his perfect smile lighting up the frame while our parents beamed beside him. The tropical paradise backdrop felt like a mockery of my perpetual absence. My name is Tessa, and I'm the daughter who wasn't worth including in the family album. Isn't this exciting? Mom's voice pulled me back to our present family dinner. A whole week at the Grand Cayman Resort. She was practically bouncing in her seat, wine glass dangerously close to spilling. Ross and his new wife Serena sat across from me, both glowing with that special kind of happiness reserved for the chosen ones. The engagement ring on Serena's finger caught the light, sending little rainbow prisms dancing across the white tablecloth. The honeymoon suite has its own private pool, Serena gushed, scrolling through photos on her phone. And look at this spa package. I pushed my barely touched lasagna around my plate, stomach churning. When exactly are you all going? Next week, Dad said quietly, not quite meeting my eyes. He was always the one who seemed to notice when these things hurt me, but never enough to actually speak up. Next week? I set down my fork. But that's right before the holiday rush for my online shop. Mom, you promised to help me with the packaging. Mom waved her hand dismissively. Oh, honey, you can handle that little hobby of yours for a few days. This is a special occasion, Ross and Serena's first vacation as a married couple. And you're all going? The words came out sharper than I intended. Ross cleared his throat. Well, you see, sis, the thing is, we got this amazing family package deal, but it only covers 4 people. And since Mom and Dad are paying, we would have loved to include you, Serena jumped in, her sympathy so perfectly practiced it made my teeth hurt. But the extra person rate is just astronomical. I looked around the table, at Mom's practiced smile, Dad's guilty expression, Ross's casual superiority, and Serena's manufactured concern. The familiar weight of being the family afterthought settled onto my shoulders. Right, I said, pushing back from the table. Astronomical, unlike the designer handbag Mom bought you last week, Serena, or Ross's new golf clubs. Tessa, Mom's voice took on that warning tone she reserved for when I wasn't playing my assigned role of supportive sister. Don't be difficult. We're celebrating Ross and Serena's happiness. When aren't we? I muttered, standing up. Excuse me, I need some air. I grabbed my coat and headed for the front door, ignoring Mom's calls behind me. The cool evening air hit my face as I stepped onto the porch, and I took deep breaths to steady myself. Tess? Dad's voice came from behind me. I'm sorry, sweetie. I tried to suggest we wait until we could afford for everyone. Don't, Dad. I turned to face him. Don't pretend you fought for me. We both know you never do. His face crumpled. That's not fair, isn't it? When was the last time anyone in this family fought for me? I pulled out my phone, scrolling through my shop's latest orders. You know what? It's fine. I have work to do anyway. Real work, not just a little hobby like Mom says. Your mother doesn't mean... Yes, she does. I cut him off. She absolutely means it. Just like she meant it when she forgot my college graduation because Ross had a job interview, or when she gave Serena grandmother's wedding ring without even asking if I might want it someday. The door opened again, and Ross stepped out. Come on, sis, don't make this weird. It's just a vacation. I looked at my brother, my successful, favored, golden child brother, and something inside me snapped. Not in the breaking way, but in the way a rubber band snaps back, finding its shape. You're right, Ross. I smiled, and both men took an unconscious step back. It's just a vacation, and I'm just going to stay here and work on my little hobby. You all have fun. I walked to my car, ignoring their calls. As I drove away, I caught a glimpse of Mom and Serena in the dining room window, probably already planning their resort wardrobes. The family photo from my wallet fell onto the passenger seat, and I finally let myself feel the anger I'd been suppressing for years. They wanted to leave me behind? Fine. But this time, I wasn't going to sit quietly and wait for them to remember I existed. This time, I was going to make them wish they'd thought twice about excluding me. My phone buzzed with another order notification. Maybe it was time to turn my little hobby into something they couldn't ignore. The house felt emptier than usual the morning after they left. I sat at my kitchen table, staring at my laptop screen while my coffee grew cold. Their vacation photos were already flooding social media. Mom, Dad, Ross, and Serena boarding their flight, all matching designer luggage and perfect smiles. My phone buzzed. It was Valeria. "Tell me you're not stalking their Instagram," she said without preamble. "I'm not stalking their Instagram." I switched tabs to my shop's dashboard. "I'm looking at their Facebook instead." "Girl, stop. Come over. I've got mimosas and a business proposition for you." An hour later, I was sitting on Valeria's couch while she paced her living room, gesturing with her champagne flute. "Look at these numbers," she said, pointing to my shop's analytics. "You're getting serious traffic, but your conversion rate is trash. Your products are amazing, but your website looks like it was built in 2005. "Thanks for the brutal honesty," I said. But I knew she was right. My handmade jewelry and accessories had been steadily gaining attention, but I'd been too busy fulfilling orders to focus on the business side. "You know what? Screw their vacation." Valeria set down her glass. "Let's use this week to transform your little hobby into an empire." I laughed. "An empire? Val, I work out of my spare bedroom. For now." She grabbed her laptop. "But I've been doing some research. There's a pop-up shop space available downtown next week. Perfect timing for holiday shopping. And I know a guy who designs websites for major retailers." My phone pinged with an email notification. I opened it and nearly dropped my phone. "Val," I whispered, "remember that influencer who wore my moonstone necklace last month? Her stylist just ordered 20 pieces for a celebrity client's winter collection." Valeria screamed and grabbed my hands. "This is it! This is your moment! How fast can you make them?" I don't know. I've never had an order this big." "Then we need to scale up, now." She pulled up a spreadsheet. "You've got savings, right? The money you were going to use for that trip to Europe?" I nodded slowly. The trip I'd canceled when Ross announced his engagement, because Mom insisted I help with wedding preparations instead. "Invest it. All of it." Valeria's eyes were blazing. "I'll help you set up a proper production line, hire some part-time help. We can do this, Tess." My hands were shaking as I opened my banking app. "You really think this could work?" "I know it will." She grabbed her keys. "Come on, we're going shopping for supplies right now, and then we're meeting my web designer friend for dinner." The next few hours were a blur of wholesale jewelry suppliers, packaging vendors, and equipment stores. By evening, my car was packed with supplies, and my savings account was considerably lighter. At dinner, Valeria's friend turned out to be a sharp-eyed woman named Maya who took one look at my current website and actually winced. "Okay, here's what we're going to do," Maya said, sketching on a napkin. "Clean, minimalist design, high-res product photos, integrated social media feeds, and we need to tell your story." "My story?" "Yeah, your brand story. What drives you? What makes your pieces special?" She paused. "What made you start this business?" I thought about all the times I'd been overlooked, pushed aside, told to wait my turn. About channeling that hurt into creating beautiful things that made other people feel seen and special. "I make pieces that help people shine," I said slowly, "even when they're used to standing in someone else's shadow." Maya's eyes lit up. "That's it. That's your angle." She pulled out her tablet. "We can have the new site ready in 3 days, but we'll need content. Photos, videos, your journey." "I can help with that," Valeria chimed in. "I've got a friend who does commercial photography." My phone buzzed again. Another Instagram notification, Ross and Serena posing by their private pool, Mom commenting about her perfect children. I turned off notifications and looked at the women around me. "Let's do this. All of it. That's my girl, Valeria raised her glass. To building an empire. Later that night, as I organized my new supplies in my workspace, another email came through. This one was from a business newsletter I subscribed to, announcing a local entrepreneurs meetup happening tomorrow. The featured speaker? A successful investor named Lucas Wong, known for spotting and funding promising small businesses. I looked at my newly organized workspace, thought about the website in progress, and the massive order I needed to fill. Then I opened my calendar and marked the meetup time. If I was going to do this, I was going to do it right. No more playing small. No more standing in shadows. Let them have their perfect vacation. I had an empire to build. The entrepreneurs' meetup was packed, and I felt severely underdressed in my casual blazer and jeans. Valeria had insisted on coming with me, claiming moral support, but really there to prevent me from chickening out. "Stop fidgeting," she whispered as we found seats near the front. "You look like a boss." "I look like someone who makes jewelry in their spare bedroom," I muttered back. "Not anymore." She pointed to my phone, where Maya had just sent the first preview of my new website. "You look like someone who's about to own the game." The lights dimmed, and Lucas Wong took the stage. He was younger than I expected, dressed in a simple black sweater that probably cost more than my car. His presence commanded attention without trying. "Success isn't about having the best idea," he began. "It's about having the courage to execute that idea when everyone else says you can't." My phone buzzed. Another vacation photo from Mom. I turned it face down. "I'm looking for businesses with heart," Lucas continued. "Companies that solve real problems, that connect with real people. Today, I want to hear your stories." The next hour was a blur of pitches and presentations. Some polished, some nervous, all hoping to catch Lucas's attention. When he opened the floor for impromptu pitches, Valeria's elbow found my ribs. "Go," she hissed. "Now!" Before I could think better of it, my hand was up. Lucas nodded in my direction. Standing on shaky legs, I took a deep breath. "My name is Tessa. I create custom jewelry that helps people feel seen." The room quieted. Lucas leaned forward slightly. "Every piece tells a story," I continued, touching the moonstone pendant I was wearing. "This one? I made it after being told my creative business was just a hobby. It represents transformation, the way moonstone changes in different light, just like we all contain different facets waiting to be recognized." I pulled up my shop's analytics on my phone. Last month, one of my pieces was featured by a major influencer. Since then, my traffic has increased by 300%. Yesterday, I received my first celebrity stylist order. But more importantly, I get messages every day from customers telling me how wearing my pieces gives them confidence, helps them feel valuable. Lucas's eyes hadn't left my face. "And what's your scale-up strategy?" "I'm launching a new website next week, opening a pop-up shop for the holiday season, and establishing a production line to handle larger orders." I smiled. "Because it turns out being overlooked gives you plenty of time to plan." A few people chuckled. Lucas didn't. "See me after," was all he said, before moving on to the next pitch. Later, as people were filing out, he approached our table. Up close, his intensity was almost uncomfortable. "Your story resonates," he said, sitting down. "But I need to know, are you ready to be seen? Really seen? Because once you step into the spotlight, there's no going back to being overlooked." I thought about Mom's dismissive wave, Ross's casual superiority, Serena's practiced sympathy. "I've spent my whole life being ready." He nodded slowly, then pulled out a business card. "I'm hosting a private investment event next week. Come, bring your business plan and samples." He paused. "And bring that moonstone piece. It has a good story." After he left, Valeria squealed and hugged me. "This is huge. We need to prepare. Like, everything. Your pitch, your samples, your—" My phone rang. Dad's name flashed on the screen. "Hey, sweetie," he said when I answered. Just checking in, making sure you're okay on your own. I looked at Lucas's business card, at the website preview on my laptop, at Valeria's excited face. I'm not on my own, Dad. I'm actually at a business meeting right now. Oh, he sounded surprised. For your jewelry thing? My company, I corrected gently. And yes, how's the vacation? Good, good. Your mother wanted me to remind you to water her plants. Of course she did. The plants are fine, Dad. I need to go. I have another meeting to prepare for. After hanging up, Valeria squeezed my hand. You okay? I tucked Lucas's card into my wallet, right where that old family photo used to be. I'm better than okay. I'm ready. Then let's go. We've got an empire to build, remember? As we left the venue, my phone buzzed with a text from Maya. Website's ahead of schedule. Ready to shoot your founder's video tomorrow? I looked at Valeria, who was already pulling up her calendar. Tomorrow works, I replied. Time to tell my story. The sun was setting as we drove home, casting long shadows across the city. For the first time in my life, I wasn't afraid of standing in them. Because soon, very soon, I'd be casting my own. Just be natural, Maya said from behind the camera. Pretend you're talking to a friend. I sat in my workspace, surrounded by my jewelry pieces, feeling anything but natural. We'd been filming for 3 hours, and I still couldn't get through my brand story without stumbling. Maybe we should take a break, Valeria suggested, checking her watch. The lighting's still good for product shots. My phone buzzed. Another vacation photo. This time it was Serena in a designer sundress, caption reading, "Living my best life with my perfect family." I switched off the screen. No, I said, straightening my shoulders. One more try. Maya adjusted the camera. Rolling. I took a deep breath and looked directly into the lens. Everyone has a moment when they realize they're tired of being invisible. Mine came 3 days ago, when my family left for a luxury vacation without me. Again. Valeria's eyes widened behind Maya, but I kept going. I've spent years creating pieces that make people feel special, because I know what it's like to be the afterthought. Each design comes from a place of understanding what it means to want to be seen. I held up the moonstone pendant. This piece, it's about transformation, about taking the pain of being overlooked and turning it into something beautiful. Maya lowered the camera, grinning. That's the one. That's your story. My phone rang. It was the celebrity stylist's assistant. Ms. Tessa, we need to move up the delivery date. Is there any way you can have the pieces ready by next week? I looked at my workbench, where half the order was still unfinished. Next week? The shoot got rescheduled. We can offer a rush fee. Valeria was already pulling up calculators on her phone, mouthing, "Say yes." "I can make it happen," I heard myself say. "Send me the details." After hanging up, I slumped in my chair. Val, that's impossible. I can't make 10 more pieces by next week, not alone. Who said anything about alone? She was already typing on her phone. Remember Maria from college? She's between jobs and used to make jewelry. And my cousin just finished her design program. Within an hour, my workspace was transformed into a mini production line. Maria and Valeria's cousin Sophie arrived, and after a crash course in my techniques, we fell into a rhythm. "This is actually therapeutic," Maria said, carefully setting stones. "Way better than my last office job." Sophie looked up from her work. "You know what would be cool? If we filmed this for your social media. Show people the process, the craftsmanship." Maya, who was still there editing the brand video, immediately grabbed her camera. The next few days blurred together. We worked late into the night, taking turns making coffee runs and sharing stories. Maya captured everything: the detailed work, the late-night laughs, the moment when we finished the last piece and all collapsed on my living room floor at 3 a.m. "Check your emails," Valeria mumbled, half asleep on my couch. I opened my laptop to find a message from Lucas Wong. "Saw your content going live. Impressive turnaround. Looking forward to our meeting tomorrow. Bring your team. My team? I looked around at the women sprawled across my living room, all of them somehow managing to look both exhausted and accomplished. Hell yes, your team, Maria said, sitting up. We're not missing this. The next morning, running on coffee and adrenaline, we walked into Lucas's office building. The celebrity order was safely delivered, the new website was live, and our behind-the-scenes content was gaining traction online. Your social media engagement has tripled, Lucas said without preamble, gesturing for us to sit. And your story about transformation? It's resonating. People are sharing their own stories of feeling invisible, finding their power. He pulled up our analytics on his screen. You've built more than a jewelry line. You've built a community. We've built it, I corrected, looking at my team. Lucas smiled for the first time. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. He slid a folder across the desk. Here's my offer. Investment, mentorship, and connections. But I want to move fast. The holiday season is coming. My phone buzzed. Another vacation photo. This time, I didn't even look. How fast? I asked. Launch party next week. Full media coverage. Your family's still away, right? I nodded slowly, beginning to smile. Perfect timing, he said. Let's show them what they missed. Walking out of his office, contract signed and plans in motion, I felt lighter than I had in years. My phone buzzed again, Mom asking if I'd remembered to collect their mail. Should I respond? I asked Valeria. She linked her arm through mine. Nah, let's keep them guessing. They want a surprise? We'll give them one they'll never forget. 5 minutes until we go live, Maya called out across the transformed warehouse space. The launch party venue buzzed with last-minute preparations, staff adjusting displays, photographers setting up equipment, caterers arranging elegant appetizer trays. I stood in front of a full-length mirror, barely recognizing myself. Gone was the overlooked sister in casual clothes. Instead, I wore a sleek black dress adorned with my own creations. Multiple delicate necklaces layered perfectly, each telling its own story of transformation. Your hands are shaking, Valeria said, appearing behind me with a glass of water. Drink this. What if nobody comes? I whispered. She pointed to her phone, showing the RSVP list. Are you kidding? We're over capacity. That video of yours went viral yesterday. The one about turning pain into beauty? People are calling you the transformation jeweler. My phone buzzed. A text from Dad. Hope you're doing okay, sweetie. Your mother wants to know if you've been watering her orchids. Still nothing about the business posts? Valeria asked, reading over my shoulder. They probably haven't even seen them. Too busy having fun in paradise. I put my phone away. Let's do this. The doors opened and people flooded in. Fashion bloggers, local media, potential buyers, all eager to see the brand that had been creating buzz all week. Lucas worked the room like a pro, introducing me to key players in the industry. Your story resonates with people, a magazine editor told me, examining a display of moonstone pieces. Everyone knows what it feels like to be invisible sometimes. You've tapped into something powerful here. Maya's video played on loop on massive screens, showing the late nights, the craftsmanship, the transformation from spare bedroom operation to professional production. But it was the personal story that kept stopping people in their tracks. That part about being left behind, a buyer from a major department store said, wiping her eyes. When you said, sometimes the people who should see you the clearest are the ones who look right through you, I felt that in my soul. Orders poured in. The website crashed twice from traffic. Our social media followers doubled, then tripled. Each piece sold came with a card asking buyers to share their own transformation stories. Tessa, Lucas called out, waving me over to where he stood with a group of serious-looking investors. They want to discuss international distribution. My phone buzzed again. A text from Ross. Hey sis, brought you a souvenir keychain. Missing anything exciting? Before I could respond, Maria rushed over. We just got featured on 3 major fashion blogs. They're calling us the next big thing in accessible luxury. Another buzz. Mom this time. Darling, we're having such a wonderful time. Shame you couldn't be here to see Ross and Serena enjoying themselves. I looked around at my reality, the packed venue, the sold-out displays, my team celebrating our success, and finally typed back, "Don't worry about me. I've been keeping busy." "Tessa," Sophie called urgently, "the morning show wants to interview you tomorrow." The night blurred into a whirlwind of handshakes, contracts, and congratulations. By closing time, my feet were killing me, but my heart was soaring. "Final numbers are in," Valeria announced as we collapsed onto a couch after the last guest left. "We made 6 months of your old revenue in one night." "Holy shit," I whispered. "That's not all." She pulled up her tablet. "The investment group wants to fast-track the expansion. They're talking flagship stores in major cities." My phone buzzed one last time. A group photo from their vacation. Everyone smiling on a yacht. Caption reading, "Perfect family vacation with the people who matter most." Lucas, who was passing by, caught a glimpse of the photo. "They still don't know?" I shook my head. "They get back tomorrow." He smiled that shrewd smile of his. "Perfect, because guess what? That morning show interview? It's going to air right when their flight lands." "You planned that, didn't you?" "Timing is everything in business," he shrugged. "And in karma." Looking at the vacation photo one last time, I felt something shift inside me. Not anger anymore, but something calmer. Stronger. "You know what?" I said, standing up. "Let's do something special for the morning show. I want to debut a new piece." "What are you thinking?" Valeria asked. I picked up a rough diamond from our display, beautiful in its natural state, waiting to be transformed. Something about finding your own light, about how sometimes being left behind just means you're free to move forward. "Perfect," Maya said, already reaching for her camera. "Let's get to work." As we gathered our things to leave, I took one last look around the venue. Tomorrow my family would land, expecting to find the same invisible Tessa they'd left behind. They had no idea what was coming. The morning show interview went viral before my family's plane even landed. I sat in my newly rented office space, watching the clips circulate online. Me, poised and professional, telling my story while showcasing the new Rising Light collection. "Your phone's blowing up," Valeria said, scrolling through our notifications. "The hashtag Sark Transformation Jeweler is trending." My hands trembled slightly as I checked the time. "Their flight landed 20 minutes ago." "Still radio silence?" "Complete." I refreshed my messages. Though Mom did send a mass text about having dinner at their house tonight to share vacation stories. The office door burst open and Maria rushed in. The department store order just doubled, and that celebrity stylist? Her client wants an exclusive line. My phone finally buzzed. A text from Dad. "Saw something interesting on TV this morning. Can we talk before dinner?" "Not now, Dad," I muttered, typing a quick, "busy, see you tonight" response. The day passed in a blur of meetings and order processing. By evening, I'd changed into a simple black dress adorned with my newest pieces, including the rough diamond pendant I'd finished for the morning show. "Ready?" Valeria asked, pulling up to my parents' house. "No," I admitted, "but I'm done waiting to be ready." The familiar sound of laughter spilled out as I opened the front door. They were all gathered in the living room, tanned and relaxed from their vacation, surrounded by shopping bags and souvenirs. "Tessa!" Mom called out, not looking up from the photos she was showing Serena. "There's your keychain on the counter. Ross picked it out specially." "Thanks," I said, not moving to get it. "How was the trip?" "Amazing," Serena gushed. "The spa treatments alone were worth—" She finally looked up and froze, taking in my appearance. "Oh, wow, you look different." That got everyone's attention. Mom's eyes widened as she noticed my jewelry. "Those are unusual pieces." They're mine, I said simply. I designed them. Made them. Right, your hobby, Ross chuckled. Hey, speaking of which, did you water Mom's plants? The orchids look a little… I saw you on TV, Dad interrupted quietly. This morning. The room went silent. Mom's smile faltered. What TV? The morning show, I said, pulling out my phone to show them the clip. They wanted to interview me about my company's launch. Company? Ross laughed. Come on, sis. It's cute that you make jewelry, but we sold out our entire holiday collection in one night, I cut him off. The launch party was yesterday. Major retailers are placing orders. We're opening flagship stores in 3 cities next year. We? Mom asked faintly. My team. My investors. I met her eyes. While you were all away, I built something. Something real. Serena was frantically scrolling through her phone. Oh my God, she whispered. She's trending. The transformation story. About being left behind. About us. About me, I corrected. About what happens when you stop waiting for people to see your value and start creating it yourself. Mom's face flushed. Tessa, if this is about the vacation… It's not about the vacation, I said, though we all knew that wasn't entirely true. It's about every time you dismissed me. Every time you called my work a hobby. Every time you chose… The doorbell rang, cutting me off. Through the front window, I could see a delivery truck. That's for me, I said, standing up. The first shipment for our department store launch. They followed me outside, watching in stunned silence as the driver unloaded box after box of professionally packaged jewelry. Each piece tells a story, I explained, opening one of the boxes to show them. About transformation. About finding your light. About turning pain into beauty. Tessa, Dad started, his voice thick. I had no idea. I know, I said softly. That was kind of the point. My phone buzzed. Lucas sending confirmation of another major order. As I replied, I caught Mom staring at the rough diamond pendant I wore. It's beautiful, she whispered. Different from anything I've seen. Like its creator, Dad said quietly. Ross stood awkwardly by the boxes, all his usual confidence gone. So, you're really doing this? Like for real? I looked at my family, really looked at them, and felt the last of my anger transform into something else. Something stronger. No, I said, signing the delivery confirmation. I've already done it. And this is just the beginning. The setting sun caught my pendant, sending fragments of light dancing across their faces. For the first time in my life, I wasn't standing in anyone's shadow. I was casting my own light. The dinner table was unnaturally quiet. Mom kept glancing between her plate and my jewelry, while Ross pushed his food around without eating. Only Serena seemed to be making an effort, chattering nervously about their vacation activities. And then we went snorkeling, which was just amazing, right, Ross? Ross? Huh? Oh, yeah. Amazing. He looked up at me. So, sis, how much are you actually making with this company? Before I could answer, my phone lit up with a notification. Lucas had shared our latest sales figures in the team chat. Valeria immediately texted, "Don't tell them the number. Let them wonder." Enough, I said simply, taking a sip of water. But surely not as much as Ross makes at his firm, Mom interjected quickly. I mean, he's a senior account manager now, and… Kennedy, Dad cut her off sharply. Stop. Mom's fork clattered against her plate. Dad had never interrupted her before, especially not when she was praising Ross. I'm just saying, she continued flustered, that while Tessa's little business is impressive, we shouldn't get carried away. Little business? I pulled up the morning show clip on my phone and set it on the table. Watch it. Actually watch it this time. They huddled around the screen, faces changing as they watched the interview. The camera panned across our sold-out launch party, showcased our production facility, highlighted the major retailers who'd signed contracts. That's impossible, Ross whispered. You did all this in a week? No, I said. I built this over years. You just never bothered to notice. Serena was rapidly typing on her phone. The comments on your posts, people are calling you an inspiration, sharing their own stories about being overlooked by family. Mom's face went pale. Tessa, are you trying to embarrass us? I'm trying to succeed. There's a difference. My phone buzzed again. Maya sending a preview of tomorrow's magazine feature. The headline read, "The Transformation Jeweler, How Being Left Behind Launched an Empire." An empire? Ross laughed, but it sounded hollow. Come on, you can't be serious. The doorbell rang again. This time it was a courier with a priority envelope. Sign here, Ms. Tessa, he said. Congratulations on the international deal, by the way. My wife loves your pieces. The room went dead silent as I opened the envelope. Inside was a contract for European distribution, with a number that made even my hands shake. May I? Dad asked quietly. I handed him the contract. His eyes widened as he read. Oh my God. What? Mom tried to grab the paper. How much? More than Ross's annual salary, Dad said. Much more. Ross stood up so abruptly his chair fell backward. This isn't fair. I've worked my ass off at the firm, played by all the rules. Rules. I stood too, finally letting years of quiet rage surface. You mean like having every advantage, every opportunity, every family vacation? Those rules? I earned those things. And I earned this. I gestured to the contract. The difference is, I did it while being treated like an afterthought. Like my dreams didn't matter. Like I didn't matter. That's not true, Mom protested weakly. Really? I pulled out my phone again. Should we count how many photos you posted from your vacation? How many times you called me perfect family while excluding me? Or should we talk about how you still haven't congratulated me on building a 7-figure business in under a year? Serena suddenly stood up. I need to go, she mumbled, grabbing her purse. Serena, wait, Ross called after her. No, Ross, I can't be here right now. This isn't... She looked at me, then at Mom. This isn't right. What you did to her wasn't right. The front door slammed behind her. Ross slumped back into his chair, looking lost. My phone buzzed one final time. Lucas confirming tomorrow's meeting with international investors. Your story's resonating globally, he wrote. Ready to take it worldwide? I looked at my family. Mom's shocked face, Ross's defeat, Dad's quiet pride mixed with shame. The perfect family portrait was cracking, revealing the truth beneath. I should go, I said, gathering my things. I have an early meeting tomorrow, about expanding into Europe. Tessa, Mom called as I reached the door. I don't know what to say. I touched my rough diamond pendant, feeling its strength. That's okay, Mom. For once you don't have to say anything. My work is speaking for itself. I walked out into the night, leaving them with their shattered illusions and the weight of their choices. My phone was already lighting up with tomorrow's opportunities. They wanted a perfect family story. I'd given them something better. I'd given them the truth. The morning sun streamed through the windows of my new office as I finished signing the European distribution contracts. Lucas sat across from me, a rare smile on his face. Congratulations, he said, collecting the papers. You're officially international. My phone buzzed. A text from Ross. Can we talk? Please? Family still processing? Lucas asked, noting my expression. Something like that. I showed him the text. This is the third message this week. You don't owe them anything, he reminded me. But? Sometimes the biggest power move is showing grace. He stood up. Just something to think about. After he left, I called Ross back. Coffee in 20 minutes, the shop near my office. He was already there when I arrived, looking uncomfortable in the trendy cafe filled with people working on laptops, several wearing my designs. Thanks for meeting me, he said as I sat down. I've been doing a lot of thinking. That's new, I couldn't help saying. I deserve that. He stared into his coffee. Serena left. That surprised me. What? Why? She said she couldn't be with someone who treated their sister like a second-class citizen. Said watching your story made her realize some things about me. About us. He looked up. She was right. Before I could respond, the barista approached our table. Oh my God, your hair! The transformation jeweler! She touched her necklace, one of my pieces. Your story inspired me to finally start my own business. After she left, Ross shook his head. That happens a lot, doesn't it? More every day. I watched all your interviews, he said quietly. Read all the articles, the comments. Do you know what hit me hardest? When you said you stopped waiting to be seen and decided to become impossible to ignore. My phone buzzed. Mom calling. I declined it. She's a mess, you know, Ross continued. Keeps looking at old family photos, crying about how she never noticed. And Dad? He's different. Stands up to her now. Called her out yesterday when she tried to minimize your success again. Ross smiled slightly. Said his daughter was a business genius, and it was time we all admitted it. The cafe door opened and Valeria burst in. Sorry to interrupt, but we have a situation. That major fashion house that wanted a collaboration? They're here early. Like now. I stood up, gathering my things. Wait, Ross grabbed my arm. I need to say this. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for every time I took advantage, every time I accepted preferential treatment, every time I watched you be pushed aside and said nothing. I was wrong. Yes, you were. I know I can't fix it, but I want to try to be better. To be the brother you deserved. Valeria cleared her throat pointedly. I have to go, I said. But Ross? Thanks for saying that. Back at the office, after the fashion house meeting, another success, I found a small package on my desk. Inside was an old family photo I'd never seen before, me at about 7, showing Dad a beaded necklace I'd made. I was beaming with pride, and he was looking at me like I was magic. A note from Dad was attached. I found this while cleaning the attic. Thought you should have it. I'm sorry I forgot how to look at you this way. So proud of you, sweetheart. My phone buzzed again. Mom. This time I answered. Tessa, she said, her voice shaky. I know I don't deserve to ask this, but would you have dinner with me? Just us? I need to really listen this time. I looked at the photo on my desk, then at my office, my empire built from years of being overlooked. Okay, I said. But Mom, this time, I'm choosing the restaurant. After hanging up, I walked to our production floor where Maria and Sophie were training new staff. On the wall hung our company motto, Transform Your Story. My phone lit up with a message from Lucas. Ready for phase 2? Asia's waiting. I touched my rough diamond pendant, feeling its familiar strength. The stone that had started as something overlooked, now transformed into something impossible to ignore. Just like me. Ready, I typed back. The afternoon sun caught my jewelry displays, sending light dancing across the room. Each piece told a story of transformation, of rising above, of turning pain into power. But more than that, they told my story. The story of a woman who stopped waiting in shadows and learned to create her own light. I'd wanted revenge, but I'd found something better. I'd found myself. And that was the most powerful transformation of all.
The night my family destroyed my future, it was raining. Not the gentle kind that makes everything smell fresh and clean, but the kind that pounds against windows like angry fists. I remember because the sound matched the thundering of my heart as I stared at the remains of my portfolio, 12 months of work shredded and scattered across my bedroom floor like confetti from hell. My name is Sophie, and I was 18 when my parents decided to kill my dreams. This is for your own good, sweetheart. Mom's voice wavered as she clutched one of my paintings, the centerpiece meant for tomorrow's art school scholarship interview. Her mascara was running, but her grip was steady. We can't let you throw your life away on this. Put it down. My voice came out smaller than I wanted. Mom, please, I worked so hard. Exactly why this needs to happen now. Dad stepped forward, his shoes crunching over broken canvases. Before you waste any more time on this nonsense. I lunged for the painting, but he was faster. One clean tear down the middle. The sound was like a gunshot in my ears. You're making a scene, Celeste said from the doorway, arms crossed over her designer sweater. My perfect younger sister, already engaged to a lawyer at 20. Just accept it, Sophie. You were never going to make it anyway. Shut up, I screamed, shoving past her to grab my sketchbook from Mom's hands. She held on tight and we struggled until pages started ripping out. Drawings of dancers, portraits, cityscapes. They fluttered to the floor like dying butterflies. Margaret, enough. Dad's voice cut through everything. Sophie, sit down. We're going to discuss your real future now. I've arranged an interview at the bank. No. The word came out before I could stop it. Excuse me? I said no. I straightened up, surprising myself with how steady I felt. You don't get to decide this. Mom stepped forward, reaching for my hand. Darling, please understand. We love you too much to watch you struggle as a starving artist. What about marriage, children, security? Like Celeste? I laughed and it sounded horrible. Is that what this is about? Making sure I follow her perfect example? Don't drag me into your tantrum, Celeste snapped. Some of us actually want to make something of ourselves. Something of ourselves? I grabbed a torn piece of my work and thrust it at her. I already am something. I'm an artist. I'm good at it. Tomorrow was my chance to prove. Enough! Dad slammed his hand against my desk. This ends now. You will not embarrass this family with your childish fantasies. Tomorrow, you will meet Mr. Peterson at the bank, and that's final. I looked around my room, at the destruction, at Mom's tears, at Celeste's smug face, at Dad's cold eyes. Something inside me snapped clean in half. You're right, I said quietly. This ends now. I walked to my closet and pulled out my backpack. They watched in silence as I stuffed it with clothes, my wallet, and my phone charger. The only artwork that survived was my small travel sketchbook, hidden under my mattress. Sophie Hamilton, don't you dare, Dad started. Or what? I turned to face them. You'll destroy my dreams? Too late. Mom burst into fresh tears. Where will you go? You have nothing. Better nothing than this. I grabbed my jacket and pushed past them. Celeste tried to grab my arm, but I yanked away. Don't touch me. Don't ever touch me again. You're being ridiculous, she hissed. You'll be back in a week, begging for help. I stopped at the top of the stairs and looked back at them one last time. Mom, crying into her hands. Dad, rigid with fury. Celeste, uncertainty finally cracking through her perfect mask. No, I said. I won't. The rain was still pounding as I walked out the front door. I had no plan, no money except what was in my wallet, and no idea where I'd sleep tonight. But with each step down the driveway, my spine got straighter, my chin lifted higher. They thought they were breaking me. Instead, they'd set me free. I turned back for one last look at the house, the perfect Hamilton family home with its manicured lawn and gleaming windows. Lightning flashed, illuminating my bedroom, where the remains of my art lay scattered like broken dreams. I'll show you what I can become, I whispered to the rain. And when I do, you'll wish you hadn't made me your enemy. I walked away into the storm, leaving everything I'd ever known behind. As the rain soaked through my clothes and my tears mixed with the downpour, I made myself a promise. I would rise from these ashes, and when I did, they would regret ever trying to extinguish my fire. 12 years can change everything and nothing at all. I was scrubbing gallery floors when I got my first real break. Not exactly the glamorous art world entrance I dreamed of, but beggars can't be choosers when they're living off ramen and determination. "Hey, new girl," the curator had called out. "What do you think about this piece?" I looked up from my mop at the massive canvas. The composition's weak. Artist is trying too hard to channel Rothko, but the color balance is off. It's derivative. He raised an eyebrow. Most cleaners don't know Rothko from a hole in the wall. Most cleaners didn't spend their childhood memorizing art history instead of doing their math homework. I wrung out my mop. "But hey, what do I know? I'm just the help." That was how I met Darius. He hired me as his assistant the next day, and within a year, I was writing reviews for local art magazines. 5 years later, we opened our own gallery together. "Earth to Sophie!" Darius waved his hand in front of my face, jolting me back to the present. "These pieces aren't going to arrange themselves." I blinked at the half-hung exhibition. "Sorry, got lost in thought." "Thinking about Freya's show next month?" He wiggled his eyebrows suggestively. "Don't start." I adjusted a frame, avoiding his eyes. "We're strictly professional now." "Sure. That's why you both get all weird and intense whenever—" Darius. Fine. He handed me another painting. "But speaking of intense, have you seen this morning's mail?" I followed his gaze to my desk, where a cream-colored envelope sat like a landmine. Even from here, I recognized the Hamilton family letterhead. "Burn it," I said, turning back to the wall. "Already tried. It's apparently fireproof." He crossed his arms. "Sophie, it's been 12 years. Maybe they want to apologize? Make amends?" I laughed. "Trust me, that's not how they work." "You don't know that. People change." I stepped down from the ladder. "You didn't see their faces that night. They weren't sorry. They were embarrassed by me, by my art, by everything I represented. And now you're one of the most influential critics in the city." He picked up the envelope. "Maybe they're proud." "They don't get to be proud. They didn't help build this." I gestured around the gallery. The nights I slept on park benches, the community college classes I paid for by cleaning toilets, the rejection letters I wallpapered my first apartment with, they weren't there. "Open it anyway." He held out the envelope, if only to prove me wrong. I snatched it from him, tearing it open roughly. Inside was a glossy invitation to a charity auction, the Hamilton Family Foundation's annual fundraiser, and tucked behind it, a catalogue featuring the works up for bid. My blood froze when I saw it. "What?" Darius peered over my shoulder. Oh, wow, is that Celeste?" I stared at the garish painting credited to my sister. She's calling herself an artist now. "It's unique?" "It's terrible." I flipped through the catalog. Every other piece was museum-worthy. "She'll be humiliated. Unless someone buys it." Darius watched me carefully. "Someone with influence in the art world. Someone who could make or break. Don't." I closed the catalog. "Don't even suggest it." My phone buzzed. A text from Freya. "Saw the auction listing. You okay?" I ignored it, but my hands were shaking as I picked up another frame. "Sophie," Darius's voice was gentle. "What are you thinking?" I looked at the invitation again. In 2 weeks, the cream of society would gather to bid on art and congratulate themselves on their charity. My family would be center stage, showing off their perfect philanthropy and their younger daughter's artistic debut. "I'm thinking," I said slowly, "that I should RSVP." "As yourself." I smiled, and it felt sharp enough to cut. "As SH curator. Let's see how long it takes them to figure it out." "Sophie," he hesitated, "revenge won't fix what happened." "No." I picked up my phone, finally replying to Freya. "Never better." The memory of torn canvas and scattered dreams flashed through my mind. I'd spent 12 years clawing my way up from nothing, building a reputation that could make or break careers. Now my family wanted to play in my world? Fine. Let them come. I was reaching for my laptop when an assistant burst in. Ms. Sophie, there's a woman here insisting on seeing you. Says she's your mother? My heart stopped. In the gallery doorway stood Mom, older but still perfectly coiffed, clutching her designer handbag like a shield. Sophie, she whispered, please, we need to talk about Celeste. My office? I gestured sharply, not looking at Mom as I strode past her. The click of her heels followed me down the hallway, each step like a hammer on my nerves. Darius caught my eye. Want me to stay? I've got this. I closed the door behind us, leaving Mom standing awkwardly in the middle of my office. She looked out of place among my modern furniture and avant-garde art pieces. This is impressive, she said, fingering the edge of my desk. You've done well for yourself. Cut the small talk. I remained standing. What do you want? She flinched but recovered quickly. It's about the auction. Celeste's painting is awful, I finished for her. Yeah, I saw the catalog. She's sensitive about her art, Mom said, clutching her handbag tighter. You know how these events are. If no one bids. I laughed, and the sound made her jump. So that's why you're here. You want me to save precious Celeste from embarrassment. Please, Sophie. She's your sister. Was my sister. I leaned against my desk. Or did you forget the night she stood there watching you destroy my future? We were trying to protect you, Mom's voice cracked. We didn't want you to struggle, like I struggled sleeping in my car or working 3 jobs to afford art classes. I gestured around the office. Look how well your protection worked out. She stepped forward, reaching for my hand. I pulled away. That's not fair, she whispered. We didn't know. You didn't want to know. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Freya. Don't do anything stupid. Mom noticed the message. Are you seeing someone? Still trying to marry me off? I smiled coldly. Sorry to disappoint, but I'm too busy running my gallery to fulfill your white picket fence fantasies. Your father and I just want... Dad's here too? I moved to the window. Sure enough, there was his Mercedes parked illegally outside. Let me guess, waiting to see if you can manipulate me into compliance before he deigns to come up. Mom's silence was answer enough. Tell me something, I said, turning back to her. Does Celeste actually want to be an artist? Or is this another one of your perfect family tableaus? She's trying to find herself. In my world? I picked up the auction catalog. The world you told me wasn't worth pursuing? Things are different now. Mom smoothed her skirt nervously. We've changed. No, what's different is that now I have something you want. I opened the catalog to Celeste's painting. You need me to prevent a social catastrophe. That's the only reason you're here. That's not true. We've missed you, Sophie. Every day we... Save it. I held up my hand. Here's what's going to happen. I'll be at the auction. Hope flickered across her face. You'll help? I'll handle Celeste's painting. I smiled, and Mom took a step back. Trust me. Sophie, please don't... Don't what? Humiliate the family? I opened my office door. We're done here. She hesitated in the doorway. Your father wants to see you. Tell him he knows where to find me. I turned to my computer. He can come up himself if he wants to beg. After she left, Darius appeared with 2 cups of coffee. That looked intense. They want me to secretly buy Celeste's painting. I accepted the coffee gratefully. Save the family from embarrassment. And will you? I pulled up the auction RSVP form. Oh, I'll buy it all right, but there won't be anything secret about it. Sophie, he perched on my desk. What are you planning? Justice. I hit submit on the RSVP. Or karma. Maybe both. My phone lit up with a third message from Freya. Whatever you're thinking, call me first. You should talk to her, Darius said softly. She knows you better than anyone. She knew the old me. I closed the catalog, but not before catching another glimpse of Celeste's painting, a mess of colors trying desperately to mean something. The one who still believed in family. And what does the new you believe in? I thought about Mom's desperate eyes, Dad waiting in his car like a coward, and Celeste's pathetic attempt to claim the artistic talent she'd helped destroy in me. Consequences, I said, reaching for my phone. It's time they learned about consequences. The auction was 2 weeks away, 2 weeks to perfect my performance, to ensure every detail would devastate precisely as planned. They wanted to play in the art world? Fine. I'd show them exactly how sharp its edges could be. The auction venue gleamed with old money and new pretensions. I adjusted my designer dress, black, sleek, expensive enough to make a statement, and handed my invitation to the doorman. SH Curator, he announced, and heads turned. Darius squeezed my arm. You okay? Never better. I scanned the crowd, spotting Mom first. She was holding court near a Monet, but her laugh faltered when she saw me. Dad by the bar went completely still. And Celeste... Sophie, my sister's voice cracked as she approached. What are you doing here? Supporting the arts. I smiled, noting how her perfect makeup couldn't quite hide her anxiety. Lovely piece you've contributed, she flushed. You've seen it? Hard to miss. I accepted a champagne flute from a passing waiter. Bold choice of colors. I've been studying techniques. Celeste twisted her diamond ring, still playing the perfect wife. Taking classes. How inspiring. I sipped my champagne. Following your dreams. She caught my tone and straightened. Look, about that night. Sophie, Mom appeared suddenly, gripping Dad's arm. We didn't know you were coming. Clearly. I turned to Dad. Still letting Mom fight your battles? His jaw tightened. We need to talk, privately. No. I gestured around the crowded room. Whatever you have to say it here. Please, Mom whispered. Not in front of everyone. I noticed several people watching us with poorly concealed interest. The great Hamilton family reunion, better entertainment than any painting. Fine. I nodded toward a quiet corner. Make it quick. Once relatively secluded, Dad spoke first. Name your price. Excuse me? For the painting. He pulled out his checkbook. Whatever it takes to handle this discreetly. I laughed. You think this is about money? Then what do you want? Mom's voice was desperate. Please, Sophie. Celeste has been working so hard. Has she? I cut in. Like I worked? Before you destroyed everything I'd created? That was different, Dad snapped. You were throwing your life away. And now? I stepped closer. Now that I'm successful, influential, now you want my help? Celeste joined us, her face pale. They told me you'd handle it. Oh, I'll handle it. I finished my champagne. I'll make sure everyone knows exactly what your art is worth. Sophie, please. Mom grabbed my hand. We're family. I yanked away. Family? Family doesn't destroy each other's dreams. Family doesn't stand by and watch. Ladies and gentlemen, the auctioneer's voice boomed through the room. Please take your seats. The bidding will begin shortly. Last chance, Dad said quietly. Name your terms. I looked at each of them. Mom's tears, Dad's rigid control, Celeste's fear. 12 years of pain crystallized into perfect clarity. My terms? I smiled. Watch and learn. The first few lots went quickly. I sat between Darius and Freya, who'd arrived just in time with worry in her eyes. Don't do this, she whispered. Too late. I squeezed her hand. But thanks for coming. Next up, the auctioneer announced, a vibrant contemporary piece by emerging artist Celeste Hamilton. Shall we start the bidding at 5,000? Silence fell. I could see Celeste shrinking in her seat, Mom's knuckles whitening around her auction paddle. Anyone? The auctioneer's smile became fixed. Perhaps 4,000? I raised my paddle. 10,000. Gasps rippled through the crowd. The auctioneer beamed. 10,000 from Ms. S.H. Curator. Do I hear 11? 20,000, I called out before anyone could speak. Mom's eyes widened. Dad half rose from his seat. 30,000. The room was dead silent now, watching in fascination as I bid against myself. Sophie, Darius hissed, what are you doing? $50,000. I stood up, making sure everyone could see me clearly. The auctioneer looked uncertain. Ms. Curator, you're bidding against yourself. $100,000. My voice rang through the stunned silence. Final offer. Going once? He glanced around desperately. Going twice? Stop this, Dad commanded from across the room. Sold. The gavel came down. To S.H. Curator for $100,000. The auctioneer wiped his brow. Would the winning bidder like to say a few words? I walked to the podium, passing my family's horrified faces. Celeste looked like she might faint. Actually, I said into the microphone, I would. The crowd leaned forward, eager for more drama. They wouldn't be disappointed. I smiled directly at my family. I have one condition for this purchase. Sophie, Mom pleaded, don't. The painting must be destroyed. I pulled out a lighter. Right here, right now. And that's when all hell broke loose. Security! Dad's voice boomed across the room. Remove her immediately. Nobody move, I commanded, holding the lighter higher, or I'll burn through $100,000 right here. The security guards froze, looking uncertainly between me and the event organizers. The crowd buzzed with excited whispers. This is performance art, I announced to the room. A statement about authenticity, family, and the true value of creation. You're insane, Celeste shrieked, jumping to her feet. That's my painting. No. I turned to face her. It's mine. I bought it, just like Mom and Dad wanted. The auctioneer stepped forward nervously. Ms. Curator, perhaps we could discuss this privately. Nothing about this should be private. I clicked the lighter, the small flame dancing. The Hamiltons love an audience, don't they, Mom? Mom was sobbing now, mascara running. Please, sweetheart, don't do this to your sister. Like you did to me? I laughed. At least I paid for the privilege of destruction. Freya appeared at my elbow. Sophie, stop! This isn't you! You don't know who I am anymore. But my hand shook slightly. None of you do. I know you're better than this, she whispered. Don't let them make you cruel. Dad pushed through the crowd. Young lady, you will cease this spectacle immediately. Or what? I met his eyes. You'll disown me? Break my spirit? Been there? Done that? This is about that ridiculous portfolio? He scoffed. You're still throwing tantrums over some teenage drawings? The room went deadly quiet. Even the waiters stopped moving. Ridiculous? My voice was ice. Those teenage drawings got me a full scholarship interview. But you never let me go, did you? Never let me prove what I could do. We were protecting you. You were controlling me. The lighter flame wavered as my hand shook. And now look, your perfect Celeste wants to be an artist, and you're desperate to buy her success. Celeste stepped forward, tears streaming. I just wanted to make them proud. Proud? I turned to her. They're not proud. They're terrified. Terrified you'll fail publicly. Terrified their reputation will suffer. That's not true, Mom protested weakly. Really? I gestured around the room. Then why am I here? Why beg me to buy this painting? Because you know it's not good enough. You know she's not good enough. Sophie, Darius called out. The painting. I looked down. In my anger, I'd let the flame drift too close to the canvas. A small corner was starting to smolder. Perfect. I held it higher. Let's make this official. Wait, Celeste's voice cracked. You're right, okay? I'm not good enough. I'll never be as talented as you were. Is that what you want to hear? I hesitated, seeing real pain in her eyes for the first time. But this? She gestured at the smoking canvas. This isn't about art. This is about hurting them, hurting me. Like you hurt me. My voice wavered. You watched them destroy everything I'd worked for. I was wrong. She stepped closer. I was young and stupid and jealous. You were always so free, so sure of yourself. I wanted to be like that, but I didn't know how. The flame flickered between us. Around the room, phones were recording, people were whispering, but all I could see was my sister's face. So you destroyed me instead? No, Dad interrupted. I destroyed you. Your mother and I did that. Celeste was just a child following our lead. A child? I laughed bitterly. I was a child too, a child with dreams and talent, and now you're successful despite us, Mom said quietly. You proved us wrong. Isn't that enough? The painting was definitely burning now, smoke curling up toward the ceiling. Security was moving in slowly, but the crowd held them back, riveted by the drama. Sophie, Freya touched my arm. Choose who you want to be in this moment. I looked at the faces around me, Darius's concern, Freya's understanding, Mom's tears, Dad's rigid shame, Celeste's broken pride. 12 years of anger crystallized into this single burning moment. The fire alarm suddenly blared, and sprinklers burst to life overhead. Chaos erupted as people rushed for the exits, expensive clothes and hairdos ruined by the water. In the confusion, I let the painting fall. The flames sputtered under the sprinklers, leaving the canvas half burned, half drowned, a perfect metaphor for this whole mess. Show's over, I announced to no one in particular, and turned toward the exit. Sophie, wait! Multiple voices called after me, but I kept walking. The night wasn't over yet, not by a long shot. The hotel bar was nearly empty when they found me. I'd ordered scotch, neat, Dad's drink of choice. Fitting, considering. You're trending on Twitter, Darius said, sliding onto the bar stool beside me. Gallery Inferno. Fantastic. I took another sip. Did they get my good side while I was committing arson? It wasn't technically arson. Freya appeared on my other side. You owned the painting. Small comfort to the insurance company, I'm sure. I checked my phone. 17 missed calls from Mom, 38 text messages from Celeste. God, they never quit. Because they're your family, Freya said softly. We're my family. I signaled the bartender for another round. Now they're just people who happened to share my house for 18 years. Sophie. Darius turned to face me. What happens now? Now? I laughed. Now I go home, sleep off this scotch, and wake up to about 50 angry emails from art collectors wondering if I've lost my mind. That's not what I meant. The bar door opened. Celeste walked in, makeup smeared, designer dress still damp from the sprinklers. She looked younger somehow, more like the sister I remembered. Don't, I warned as she approached. Just don't. I have to. She sat down across from me. You owe me that much. I owe you? The scotch burned in my throat. That's rich. Yes, you owe me. Her voice was steady now. You just humiliated me in front of the entire art world. Welcome to my life. I raised my glass in mock toast. How does it feel? Horrible. She grabbed the glass from my hand. But at least I'm facing you, not hiding behind lighter fluid and dramatic gestures. Careful, Celeste. I leaned forward. Your perfect mask is slipping. Good. She slammed the glass down. Let it slip. Let it shatter. I'm tired of being perfect. That caught me off guard. Darius and Freya exchanged glances. Maybe we should give you two some space, Freya suggested. Stay. I grabbed her wrist. Both of you. I need witnesses for whatever manipulation is coming. No manipulation. Celeste's eyes filled with tears. Just truth. Finally. Truth? I scoffed. You wouldn't know truth if it set fire to your painting. Oh, wait. I started painting because of you, she burst out. After you left, I found one of your old sketchbooks in the attic. It was beautiful. Everything I wished I could create. The scotch turned sour in my stomach. Stop. I took classes, bought supplies, tried to capture what you did so effortlessly, but I couldn't. She wiped her eyes. I'm not you, Sophie. I never will be. Then why try? My voice cracked. Why step into my world just to make a mockery of it? Because it was the only way I knew to get close to you again. She pulled something from her purse, a worn, leather-bound book. My old sketchbook. I carry this everywhere. Pathetic, right? I stared at the book, memories flooding back. Where did you? Mom saved it. She saved everything she could salvage that night. Celeste pushed it across the bar. She cries over your old drawings sometimes when she thinks no one's watching. Don't. My hands shook. Don't try to make them sympathetic now. I'm not. What they did, what we did, was unforgivable. She took a shaky breath. But we're all broken, Sophie. You're just the only one brave enough to admit it. The bar seemed too quiet suddenly, too intimate. Darius touched my shoulder. Maybe it's time to let go, he said gently. Not forgive, just release. I opened the sketchbook. The pages were worn, well thumbed. Little notes in Celeste's handwriting filled the margins. Amazing perspective here. How did she capture that light? Study this technique. You really did try, I whispered, and failed spectacularly. She attempted a smile. At least my public humiliation was expensive. Despite everything, I laughed. It felt rusty, unfamiliar. Mom and Dad are waiting upstairs, she added quietly. If you're ready? I'm not. I closed the sketchbook. But maybe that's okay. Freya squeezed my hand. Want us to come with you? I looked at my best friend and my ex-girlfriend, both still here despite my spectacular meltdown. Then at my sister, imperfect and honest at last. No. I stood up, tucking the sketchbook under my arm. This is family business. Sophie, Celeste called as I headed for the elevator. For what it's worth, I'm sorry for everything. I turned back, seeing the scared teenager she'd been, the conflicted woman she'd become. I know. I held the elevator door. You coming? She hurried in beside me. As the doors closed, I caught a glimpse of Darius and Freya raising their glasses in solidarity. Time to face the final act. The hotel suite door felt like a barrier between two worlds. Celeste knocked, and Mom opened it immediately, as if she'd been waiting right there. Sophie, her voice cracked. You came. Don't make me regret it. I stepped inside, where Dad stood by the window, silhouetted against the city lights. You made quite a scene, he said without turning around. Learned from the best. I set the sketchbook on the coffee table. Remember the night you taught me about dramatic exits? He finally faced me. Is that what this was about? Revenge? No. I sat down, suddenly exhausted. This was about truth, about consequences, about finally being seen. We see you, Mom whispered, perching on the edge of the sofa. We've always seen you. Really? I opened the sketchbook. Then why did you do this? Dad's jaw tightened. You thought you knew better. I flipped through the pages. You thought you could break me into the shape you wanted. We were wrong. The words seemed to physically pain him. Is that what you want to hear? I want to hear why. I stood up, facing him directly. All these years I've wondered, why wasn't I enough? Why couldn't you just let me be who I was? Because I was afraid. He slammed his hand against the window. Is that what you want? The truth? I was terrified you'd end up like my sister. The room went silent. Even Mom looked shocked. What sister? Celeste asked. We don't have an aunt. Dad's shoulders sagged. She was an artist too. Talented, passionate, just like you, Sophie. She died in a shabby apartment, penniless, alone. I couldn't watch that happen to you. So you destroyed me instead? My voice shook. To save me? I destroyed you because I was a coward. He turned, and for the first time in my life, I saw tears in his eyes. Because I couldn't face my own fears, my own failures. Mom stood up. We both failed you, Sophie. We were so focused on protecting you from pain that we became the source of it. And now, I gestured around the luxurious suite. Now that I've succeeded despite you, now that I have the power to hurt you back, now we're just asking for a chance, Celeste said quietly. Not forgiveness, just a chance. I picked up the sketchbook again, running my fingers over the worn cover. You know what the worst part was? Not the destroyed art, not even the crushed dreams. It was believing I wasn't worth fighting for. You were always worth fighting for. Mom reached for my hand. This time, I let her take it. We just fought the wrong battle and lost everything in the process. Dad moved closer, including you. The city lights twinkled beyond the window, reminding me of that rainy night 12 years ago. I'd walked away then, carrying nothing but pain and determination. I can't go back, I said finally. I can't be your perfect daughter. We don't want perfect. Mom squeezed my hand. We want you. Even if that means more public scandals. I managed a small smile. More trending hashtags? Even then, Dad cleared his throat. Although perhaps with less property damage next time. A laugh bubbled up, surprising all of us. It felt strange, like trying on old clothes that didn't quite fit anymore. I should go. I pulled my hand away gently. It's too much for one night. Will we see you again? Mom's voice was small. I looked at each of them. Dad's uncharacteristic vulnerability, Mom's hopeful tears, Celeste's quiet support. They were different, yet the same, like me. Yes, I said finally, but on my terms. No more manipulation, no more perfect family facade. Agreed. Dad extended his hand. After a moment, I shook it. The art world's going to be talking about this for months, Celeste said as she walked me to the door. Let them talk. I handed her the sketchbook. Keep practicing, but find your own style next time. She hugged me suddenly. I stood stiff for a moment before letting myself relax into it, just slightly. Sophie, Mom called as I reached the door. We're proud of you, not because of your success, but because of who you are. We should have said that years ago. I nodded, not trusting myself to speak, and stepped into the hallway. The door closed behind me with a soft click. My phone buzzed, Darius and Freya waiting in the bar. I texted back, coming down, order me something strong. The elevator arrived, empty. As I descended, I caught my reflection in the mirrored walls, tear-stained but standing tall, not broken, not perfect, just me. Maybe that was enough. The gallery was quiet except for the sound of my heels on the polished floor. I stopped in front of the empty wall space where Celeste's painting had hung, now just a blank canvas of possibility. Ready? Darius appeared beside me, clipboard in hand. Almost. I adjusted the lighting, making sure it hit the wall at exactly the right angle. Is everyone here? Full house? He checked his watch. Including your family. They're in the back, trying to look inconspicuous. I smoothed my dress. And the piece? Just arrived. He grinned. It's perfect. The gallery doors opened and guests began filtering in. Art critics, collectors, social media influencers, all drawn by the promise of another dramatic Hamilton family spectacle. Quite a crowd, Freya said, appearing at my other side. Sure about this? No. I took a deep breath. But when has that ever stopped me? She squeezed my hand. Go get him, Tiger. I walked to the small podium, tapping the microphone. The crowd fell silent, all eyes on me. Thank you all for coming. My voice was steady. Many of you were at the charity auction last month. You witnessed what some called a breakdown, others called performance art, and my lawyer called legally questionable. Scattered laughter. I spotted my family in the back, Mom clutching Dad's arm, Celeste trying to smile. Tonight isn't about destruction. I gestured to the assistants waiting by the storage room. It's about creation, about transformation. They wheeled out a covered canvas. The crowd murmured in anticipation. This piece was created by 2 artists. I moved toward the canvas. One established, one emerging, one who lost everything, one who's just beginning. I pulled off the cover. Gasps filled the room. The painting was massive, a phoenix rising from ashes, but look closer and you'd see the ashes were torn canvas, burnt edges, fragments of Celeste's original work incorporated into something new. Half was painted in my style, half in hers, meeting in the middle in a burst of color and light. Sometimes, I continued, we have to burn it all down to build something better. Sometimes the very people who break us are the ones who help us rebuild. Celeste pushed through the crowd, tears streaming. You finished it. We finished it. I handed her a small card. Read it. She looked at the artwork's title card and choked back a sob. Phoenix Rising by Sophie and Celeste Hamilton. The crowd burst into applause. Critics were already typing on their phones, photographers snapping pictures, but I only saw my sister's face. I don't deserve this, she whispered. No, I agreed. But you earned it. Those hours in the studio, learning, trying, failing, trying again, that's what makes an artist. Not talent, not family names, just pure stubborn determination. Mom and Dad approached slowly, as if afraid to break the moment. It's extraordinary, Dad said quietly. Both of you are extraordinary. Thanks, I met his eyes. But I didn't do it for your approval. We know. Mom wiped her eyes. You did it for you. For both of you. Darius clinked his glass for attention. The piece is available for purchase, with all proceeds going to a new scholarship fund. The Phoenix Grant, I cut in, for young artists whose families don't support their dreams. More applause, more photos, more tears. Sophie, Celeste touched the canvas gently. Thank you, not just for this, but for showing me how to be brave. I thought about that rainy night, about broken dreams and burning paintings, about the long road between destruction and creation. Keep practicing, I said. You're not half bad when you're being yourself. She laughed through her tears. Maybe we could do this again sometime? Maybe. I turned to the crowd, raising my voice. The gallery will be accepting submissions for our Emerging Artists Showcase next month. All styles welcome. I caught Dad's slight smile, Mom's proud tears, Freya's knowing look, Darius's triumphant grin. Now, I announced, let's celebrate art in all its forms, the beautiful, the broken, and everything in between. As the party swirled around me, I stood before our Phoenix, seeing both the ashes of what was and the promise of what could be. The painting wasn't perfect. You could still see the scars, the burns, the torn edges, but maybe that's what made it beautiful. My phone buzzed with notifications, reviews, reactions, reposts. Phoenix Rising was already trending, but for once, I didn't care about the noise. I had said my piece, made my peace, created something new from the ashes of the old. Sometimes revenge isn't about destroying your enemies. Sometimes it's about rebuilding yourself so strongly that they have no choice but to see you, really see you at last. And sometimes, if you're very lucky, they rebuild themselves right alongside you.